This is Judge Joe Brown, and we're listening to We All Be News, news-free Dixie for the 21st century.
Wow. Well, did you know Bunchy Carter at all?
Yes, I knew Bunchy Carter. I recruited him to UCLA. Also, John Huggins.
Yes.
Bunchy Carter had been a Slauson gang member, and he got out of the penitentiary, but he wrote poetry. He was very smart. He taught himself to read and write, so he got recruited to UCLA under a special program. He was doing all right as a student. Mm-hmm. He and John Huggins, who came in from out of town, was also a good student, got recruited, were gunned down in front of 43 witnesses in a cafeteria in broad daylight by 4 people who were members of the US organization.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing that struck me is they only caught 2 of them who were accessories. And I remember seeing them after they had been prosecuted. Hell, I testified as a witness. They got prosecuted, locked up in the penitentiary, and 2 years later I ran into them at the Palladium in Hollywood at a concert. It was sitting at the table. So what are you 2 doing out? They had escaped, and they had an all points bulletin out for 2 days, and then they canceled it. Well, to make a long story short, about 5-6 years ago, they showed up to surrender, and they were told nobody was interested. The 2 people who actually did the shooting, their names were known, addresses were given, and I think one of them's mama was identified as the place where they were staying. The police didn't even go by there to get them. Ron Karinga got 5 years in the California State Penitentiary for torturing several women. He got paranoid, thinking they were going to poison him. So they let him out after 1 year exactly, and then within 40-some days, he became a tenured professor at the California State University system, in the California State University system.
Wow. So what you saying is, to me, it's not the government was involved in this, like Cointelpro.
Well, they have an involvement. It's just they have simpatico Negroes
mm-hmm.
who go along with it.
I know I was listening to a documentary. General Pratt was interviewed, and he felt like that the US organization was not the mastermind behind the John Huggins and Bunchy Carter assassinations. And people also question Elaine Brown. No.
Oh, well, I know both of them. I recruited both of them to UCLA undergrad.
Oh, okay.
Geronimo Pratt.
Mm-hmm.
What it was about is, my opinion, the people that were most behind it was the LAPD special unit known as SIS.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got told by some detectives who were investigating the murders that they thought I was right, because the only people that knew the information were in the police department. But when they got there, the US organization had already been advised. Elaine Brown was a smart individual, and she'd worked as a clerical around the UCLA campus for some years. And she wound up passing the test and got recruited as an undergrad. I knew all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I was the BSU community liaison, and at that point we had tripled the number of African Americans in UCLA, and we got good ones in who couldn't be counted on. When I got in UCLA in 1965, there was a grand total of 73 African American full-time grad students, 72 full-time undergrad students, and the student body totaled at 64,000 students full-time.
Okay.
Now, 8 years ago, the student body was 96,000, and they admitted 1 African-American freshman.
Right.
But going back, we wound up getting more African-Americans in 1966. In 1967, we got 250 in, and in 1968, we got 250 in, and we got those who wanted to be Black Student Union members for the I guess, the appearance. And whereas, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Big Lou then, the basketball player, Mike Warren, Lucius Allen, all the UCLA basketball team with a lot to lose, man. We got to go move on to administration building. Let's go. You got these people, and I'm sorry, brother. I understand the sacrifices that you made to get me in here, but I can't afford to jeopardize my career. I will have you in mind. Grab that fool and bring him with us. And I remember we had a BSU president named Eddie Maddox. He's dead now. And he didn't want to go. He was so scared that when we took him out there, he peed his pants.
Lord. Okay.
It was like that.
Wow. That's amazing. So wow.
The primary group, we didn't get through any back doors, any special programs. We got in through the front doors. But we were conscientious and we had a cause. So we were willing to sacrifice our future and our lives for that cause. And a lot of people got killed around UCLA back in those days. A lot of them, we felt the US organization had a lot to do with.
Well, what you think about now that Ron Karenga is so celebrated now? I mean, his Kwanzaa thing is basically a national holiday. I mean, it's a money maker.
I don't celebrate it because I think he is a sellout Negro of the worst type. I met Ron Karenga on a field trip to LA City College. His name was Ron Everett, and he had a Jamaican accent, long wavy hair and green eyes, and he was, I say, here, man, you got to come and get your education. And that's the way he talked when I met him. And then later, brothers, there's much that the black man need to know. House from ever is not at all necessary for you to trouble yourself, because Maulana will teach you everything you need. Maulana, teach on that. He killed some very good friends of mine. And we had, like you spoke about the Maulana, we'll bring him out here. I talk about him to his face. So, I don't like it.
Yeah, our people are so asleep on this history. I mean, I don't understand. Like, we could get it. It's available right at our fingertips right now.
So let me give an example. Let me give an example. There's a guy named Yuko Babu. He runs the Pan-African Film Festival now. And he wanted to raise money in 1973 for Frelimo, a group of African guerrillas. Well, he wanted to ship these combat boots and uniforms over there, but the State Department stopped him. They had a whole plane full. So he decided to give a concert at the Palladium. Stevie Wonder performed free of charge for 2 hours. Oscar Brown Jr. and Pharaoh Sanders and Gene and Judy Pace performed free of charge. We had all of these stars, didn't charge a dime. Ron Karenga wanted $5,000 to have his boot dancers put on a show.
You had Stevie Wonder for 2 hours. You had Oscar Brown Jr. and everybody. He wanted $5,000. This is back in 1974?
Yeah. No, 73.
73. Okay. Interesting. He's a capitalist,
So, man, you go to hell. That's where, by the way, that's the Palladium incident where I saw these two folks that murdered John Huggins and Bunchy Carter.
Wow.
Hey, family, welcome to another wonderful, entertaining, agitating edition of The Artivist Presents We All Be TV, News Free Dixie for the 21st century. And we all know today is the first day of Kwanzaa, and that was a classic throwback. Judge Joe Brown explaining why he doesn't get down. Judge Joe Brown does not get down with Kwanzaa. He gave y'all the information. Y'all can do further research. He said two of his good friends, Apprentice Bunchy Carter and John Huggins, 2 Black Panthers was gunned down at UCLA's Campbell Hall back on Friday, January the 17th, 1969. Now, that year was a very tough year for the Black Power movement. You started out the year with the state-sponsored assassinations of our Prentice Bunchy Carter and John Huggins. Then you end the year with the state-sponsored assassination of BPP chairman of Illinois, Fred Hampton Sr. on December 4th, 1969, a Thursday, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning in Chicago. So we all are familiar with the counterintelligence program, aka Cointelpro. So this is the evidence. And Judge is very much entitled to his point of view. He was there on the front lines back in the day at UCLA. He recruited, like he said, our Prentice Bunchy Carter and Elaine Brown. Now, I know what the judge said about Elaine Brown. She's very much suspect in her own words, right? She actually talked about her background in her autobiography, A Taste of Power. One of her boyfriends was a guy named J. Richard Kennedy, who was U.S. intelligence. He also was a manager for Harry Belafonte at one point, but he was definitely a deep state government. Her boyfriend who taught her the ropes, as they say. I believe Elaine Brown was also a singer back in the day. She had a contract, or she was signed, I believe, to Motown at one point, Motown Records. I could be mistaken, but take a look. It's all online if you are so inclined to educate your mind. So let me see. Let's make sure. And our Prentice Bunchy Carter was just 26 years young. John Huggins was just 23 years young. And man, show a picture of this brother. That's Bunchy Carter. He was leader of the Slossons, I believe, back in the day, of LA gang. Very charismatic brother. Was a brilliant poet. He can write. He was a wordsmith. You think about that. He was a wordsmith. He was a poet back in 1969. Had a gang background. So will he be a rapper today? You see how that stuff works? Like, this guy was very charismatic, able to organize people in the community. He was known as the mayor of the ghetto out there. I mean, he was so charismatic. And you think about this year, a lot of rappers. Pop Smoke, King Von, what's that? Mo3 down in Dallas. Whole bunch of them died this year in their 20s. Now, if he was alive, would he been one of those type of rappers? Okay, he was 26 years old, Prentice Bunchy Carter. If you look at John Brown's Black Raiders, them guys like the Emperor, they were all in their 20s, with the exception of Dangerfield Newby, the inspiration for Django. I think he was in either late 30s or early 40s, but y'all can look that up too. So that's Bunchy Carter. He was handy with the knife play. Very interesting brother. Then show John Huggins, who I believe was married to sister Erica Huggins. And he was back from the east, from New Haven, Connecticut. Show this brother. That's John Huggins. Is 23 years young. Kind of look like J. Cole, don't he? A little bit. But these cats were young and dedicated. I guess you could call it what Huey P. Newton called it, revolutionary suicide. Just 23 years young. Bunchy, 26. Bunchy, think about Nipsey Hussle, Bunchy Carter. COINTELPRO is powerful, man. They knew how to undermine the young black male and to utilize their creative expressions to do it. Rap is nothing but a rhythm and poetry, like Rakim the God said. Rakim Allah, one of the greatest MCs to ever touch a microphone fame. He said that rap stands for rhythm and poetry. So they took our song, they stole our words, used it against us. Words create worlds. So there's something to put on your mind. So Judge said the cat that came in with this Kwanzaa mess, his people gunned down our apprentice Bunchy Carter and John Huggins in UCLA back on Friday, January 17th, 1969. Even Judge in some interviews said he was a target as well. He was very active. I think he was a Panther. He said they took a shot at a chair he normally would sit in one of the offices on campus. It was some crazy days back then in the 60s, right? Way to end the decade. But some other stuff. Just trying to find some things. Because you got to take advantage of this technology while we can. You know, ain't no telling when they're going to cut this stuff out. They've been running drive runs recently. You know, Google, YouTube, all these sites shutting down for periods of time, not acting right. You know, they running drive runs. Let me see. Yeah, this is an actual crime scene photo from January 17th, 1969, UCLA Campbell Hall. That's their brother's chalk lines. So this is, you know, the stakes are high. But you know what the sad thing about it is that we're so far away where we need to be. They were actually closer where we needed to be than we are now. You know, we so far away from where we need to be right now as a people. And a lot of the reason why is that because we don't study history. We don't study what happened with the Panther Party. We don't really understand Cointelpro, the counterintelligence program. We don't really understand a lot of things that's transpiring now. You know, history is a weapon. History is very important. Like, this should be a season of Sankofa. We should be looking back at the past to understand our present, to prepare for a better future. And we failed that lesson. You know, a lot of y'all have kids out here, y'all don't know nothing about nothing. And it's not the school responsibility to teach the children who they are. It's the parents and the village responsibility to do that. But if you're not informed about your history, you don't know your origin story, you can't go nowhere. Just keep going in circles, 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 circles. That's why, yeah, these shows are important. But also it's important that you do your homework and study. Trying to wait for the judge. I know Dr. Randy Short's supposed to join us, but see, I'm the type of cat that I can hold my own. I can close it out. If I got to carry the team, I can carry the team. Because like I said, I sit on a lot of information. And you got this technology, I can teach y'all a couple of things. I can play some clips. But let me find this dude that I was telling you about with Elaine Brown. Who was sound like she was Huey P. Newton's handler, so to speak. Like she was sitting there to control Huey P. Newton. Trying to find, I'm gonna read this about J. Richard Kennedy. Y'all have an understanding. The brother Ron is here to teach why I can. Thank y'all for joining us today. And really, y'all don't need no supreme oracle to tell y'all what time it is. Like I said, I can carry my own water. Let's see. Trying to find this J. Richard Kennedy. Kind of actual picture. But I hope y'all enjoying y'all time with family and friends, or just me, myself, and I. Hope y'all taking it all in. A lot to process right now. The world is a strange, curious, mysterious place, but if you do your homework, boys and girls, scholars and gents, ladies and gentlemen, then it could be a little bit less confusing. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I think I found him. By God, I found some information on J. Richard Kennedy. So y'all be less kung foos. I want y'all to be less kung foos. Connect the dots. La la la. Connect the dots. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's share this screen and read some information on J. Richard Kennedy. So I can understand what we playing with. It's an interesting time to be alive. Let me see. Trying to see something. I got a lot of tabs open, so yes, I could be patient. That's it. Yeah, that's J. Richard Kennedy right there. U.S. intelligence, boyfriend of Elaine Brown, taught her everything she knew. I know about covert operations, intel, things of that nature. I'm gonna read a little bit on him, and I want y'all to connect the dots for yourself, and we'll go from there. Connect the dots. La 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 la. J. Richard Kennedy died in 1991. Was an author, screenwriter, composer. Composer, publisher, record executive, and Harry Belafonte's business manager. In his 60s, he worked for Frank Sinatra. In his 70s, he left entertainment and started a psychotherapy clinic called the Center for Human Problems and was accused of practicing psychotherapy without a license in a cultish environment. So I hope y'all hearing me, boys and girls. People in the back, I hope y'all hearing this. Y'all gonna do all this research. That's J. Richard Kennedy. Don't forget his name. That's not really his original name. You understand? And we're gonna break it down a little bit. Kennedy was born Samuel Richard Solomonic. He's Jewish. Either July 23rd, 1904 in Chicago, Illinois, or 1906 in Russia, or in the East Bronx in 1911. His origin story is confusing and mysterious. They don't know when this man was born and where he was born. That's Samuel Richard Solomonic, also known as J. Richard Kennedy. Raised in the Bronx, he was the son of Isidore Solomonic, died 1974, and Erna E. Solomonic, died 1967. Leaving school in the 7th grade, Solomonic claimed he spent his teen years traveling around the country, working in about 28 trades and professions. Solomonic held a wide variety of jobs, including running a cinema in the Bronx, working on a farm in Kansas, a bricklayer, longshoreman, wrangler, farmer, bricklayer, painter, printer, and even nightclub singer. His job in a print shop led to him to join the trade union, and he became an officer of an industrial printing employees union. An excellent speaker, Solomonic was drawn to left-wing causes, notably the American League Against War and Fascism, later changing its name to the American League for Peace and Democracy and the People's Committee Against William Randolph Hearst. Solomonic then became a circulation manager of the Daily Worker, the newspaper published by the Communist Party USA. Solomonic became an anti-communist with the signing of the 1939 Soviet-German Non-Aggression Pact, finding himself unemployed and possibly unemployable due to his anti-communism. Solomonic conferred with his friend Andrew Lowy, whose family owned the Park Management Corporation, and Solomonic decided on changing his name upon seeing a sign reading Kennedy. Okay, that's when he changed his name. Kennedy went into business partnership in a tool and die firm called the Unique Specialties Corporation, followed by a real estate management organization, Kennedy Management Corporation, that included investments in both the United States and Ecuador. With America's entry into World War II, Kennedy wrote a Spanish language radio show called El Misterioso that was broadcast in Latin America with a pro-American and anti-fascist focus. From July 10th, 1944 to May 20th, 1952, the show appeared in an English language American version called The Man Called X, starring Herbert Marshall. So let me just skip around. Y'all can read all this stuff later. He's deep into the state. You know, he worked with the Narcotics, Federal Bureau of Narcotics under Harry J. Anslinger. Oh my God. He was real close to the black leadership of the movement, man. Like, you know, you got these Jewish people in the movement with these black leaders. You even go back to Booker T. Washington. You know, he had a Jewish friend with deep pockets, Julius Rosenwald. The Rosenwald schools. Look up the Rosenwald Foundation. They gave a lot of money to Tuskegee. It's like all these black leaders had some type of Jewish advisor. Dr. King, the James Farmer of the Congress of Racial Equality. He was close to this guy. You know, his name was Kennedy then, but you know, he was Jewish, of course. Solomonic. Okay. Maintaining his interest in left-wing causes, Kennedy became an advisor to James Farmer of the Congress of Racial Equality, or CORE. He moderated a TV panel discussion titled March on Washington, report by the leaders of 10 major leaders of the 1963 March on Washington, for a production of Metropolitan Broadcasting Television that was broadcast August 29th, 1963. In 1965, Kennedy became an informant for the CIA and likely also the FBI, as he believed Soviet and Chinese communist agents were attempting to infiltrate and exploit the civil rights movement for their own ends. Oh, sound like 2020 to me. He had an affair with Elaine Brown, who later joined the Black Panther Party. In 1966, he became vice president of Sinatra Enterprises, that's Frank Sinatra stuff, where he headed the record and music publishing divisions. He also became a story editor for Sinatra, where a screenplay was originally planning for Sinatra, Spencer Tracy, and Yul Brynner to be filmed in Hong Kong. It was later filmed as The Chairman with Gregory Peck. It was also planned Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. would star in the filming of Kennedy's third novel, Favor the Runner, where Kennedy would write the screenplay and songs for the film. In the same year, he acted as executive producer and composer of the title song for the Gene Arthur Show. In the 1970s, he studied psychotherapy and opened Center for Human Problems Incorporated in Tarzana. Patients and a former therapist at the center claimed Kennedy did not believe licenses to practice psychotherapy were necessary, but withheld the lack of licenses of some of the providers from the patients. They claim under Kennedy's direction, patients were taught that they could never leave because they would become worse than when they had started, and remaining was necessary to continually evolve and live to be over 100. They claimed Kennedy said he was going to live to be 150. Patients claimed they were told to donate monies, in one case even sell businesses to do so, to make sure the center will pay its bills, and so Kennedy could write a book on how to save mankind. The therapy, it claimed, could prevent sickness. The theory included patients they claimed were the cause of all the illnesses, and to be well, a person should disconnect from his or her parents. Paul Morantz, an attorney specialist in cults and brainwashing cases, sued on behalf of two former patients in a case that was settled in 1990. The health department investigated, and the center was closed not long before Kennedy's death. Kennedy died of heart failure on October 14th, 1991 in Westlake, Los Angeles. He was survived by one daughter, Susan Howe. So people, This is what we dealing with. And I hope y'all heard me. But that was the person who trained Elaine Brown. And Elaine Brown, from my understanding, was Huey P. Newton's handler. Now, they put Huey Newton in jail, in prison, when he was facing that murder charge for the cop he allegedly killed. Huey P. Newton was probably on some type of mind control. It's like Jay Kennedy was a part of the MK Ultra stuff. They were doing it with the government. You know, Frank Sinatra had a film he did called The Manchurian Candidate that came out to talk about assassinating the president of the United States. And we talked about before where there's a film called Executive Action that came out in the 70s, starring Burt Lancaster, excuse me, that explored how the Kennedy assassination took place in Dallas. So they do a thing called predictive programming with the media, with Hollywood and stuff like that. They get money from the deep state, from the CIA, Department of Defense, all this stuff to put out this propaganda. They don't only do it in the news media, but through the films. Like people tell me, how the Simpsons predict what's going on? How they knew Trump gonna be president? All this stuff is psychological warfare. It's like when Dick Gregory was told by John Lennon that they was brought over to America to get the young people hooked on drugs. You know, look up the Beatles and their origin. It's a place over in England called the Tavistock Institute. Y'all should check out, that deals with MK Ultra and mind control and things of that nature. So it's let me see. Got a interest show. Got Dr. Short. He is on deck. Let's see. I don't know if I sent him. Okay, hold on. But trying to see I send the right link. I'm gonna make sure. I want to make sure I get the judge in there as well. I don't think I gave him the right link, so I'm just texting him. But thank y'all for hanging out. I've been doing this is my third show of the day. Doing this music festival online is interesting. I'm glad for the feedback and response. But yeah, check out the Tavistock Institute. It's very interesting stuff. That's Tavistock Institute. And so we're talking about Kwanzaa. We're gonna bring in the one and only. Wait a minute. Okay, I see you, Judge. Judge, I got you. Judge, I see you.
Yeah, I've been back here for a while.
Okay, welcome, Judge. I was just talking my mouth. I played the clip. We talked about Kwanzaa, about why you don't celebrate Kwanzaa, about the loss of your friend.
No, that scoundrel Ron Karinga, Ron Everett, he's a police snitch and FBI snitch, caused a lot of black folk to get killed. He set it up in Mert Park, 1962, on Crenshaw Boulevard. The park, literally, not the residential area. And his stated objective was to get black folk to speak easily with each other, so basically he could snitch. He had his boys walking around taking shorthand. They'd walk up to a conversation and start recording it. 2 weeks later, the FBI would haul you in and ask you about the conversation, quoting you exactly. So, no, that's poison. There's no way I'm going to celebrate a Swahili thing on trying to give black folks something to get into. We need to get our own thing. Swahili, and by the way, is a pidgin language. It was created by the Dutch and the Arabs, not Africans. And that was formulated to deal with the ivory and the slave trade that went on the east coast of Africa up into the 20th century. What that's about, this character you were referring to, well, he wasn't controlling Elaine Brown. I recruited her to UCLA. She had been working as a secretary out there. Let's just say Elaine had her ways. Over the years, she was doing what she was doing, and no, she didn't have any mind control over Huey P. Newton. That's a myth that they like to put out to make it look like they've got more power than they do. She just knew a lot of people. Let's just put it that way. She was pretty and she got around.
Well, it might actually just judge. A lot of people said, oh, I ain't gonna say a lot of people. Some people claim that the incident at UCLA was over her, that she
No,
helped
it was. It had
escalate
nothing,
that.
not a damn thing to do with her. What it was about was this: the Black Student Union, the Brown Berets. That's a Chicano thing. The Native Americans, the Asian Americans. We all got together and we decided that we were going to take over this building that they were going to demolish. It was known as Campbell Hall. It was vacant. So we wanted it as seat of a minority studies department. We were going to set up a black studies department. We had some black professors, but this fool Karinga was running this us thing, and he decided to come in. Now we had double the amount of black students, and we had some punks we got in. They were cowards. And the US organization started slapping them across the head and stomping on them and jacking up some of the sisters that were new too. And nobody who was there or one of the regulars knew about it. When we found out about it, we started, oh no, this isn't going to happen. So on the day in question, when John Hudgens and Bunchy Carter got shot to death in Campbell Hall's cafeteria in front of 43 witnesses, what happened is there was a dispute going on over who was going to run the Black Studies Department. Some reason this little backwoods Ron Everett, who was trying to be a professor at the state college, in the state college system, not the University of California, wanted to come in. And we said, oh, hell no, we're not going to let you come in here and propagandize that bull. So we had a meeting. I was at the meeting. I left. Hadn't got halfway up the stairs to my office. Somebody kicked in my office door, fired 4 shots in there. And at the same time, 2 of these Karinga shot John and Bunchy. One shot John in the back twice, and the other one shot Bunchy in the chest twice. There were 2 other accessories who were in on it. The 4 of them ran down the hallway. John set up with a .357, fired 6 shots, hit one of them in the back. They kept running. Anyway, they got the 2 accessories. They didn't get the 2 principals, even though half the people in the room not only knew their names, several of them gave where the suspects' mamas lived. So they picked up the 2 accessories. Johnny Cochran tried them as one of the defense counsel. They got convicted of second-degree murder. They got sent to a work camp, which they shouldn't have been, since the 2 in question were actually blood kin brothers. And they escaped 3 days later, just walked off. They took the APB down within 48 hours. I saw them about 4 or 5 months after they walked off. It was at a function at the, what do they call it? The Palladium on Hollywood Boulevard. Yuko Babu, myself, and some other people, we were trying to raise money for the Frelimo. That's the Mozambican guerrillas. And we had gotten a plane load full of combat boots, new for them, various and assorted sizes, but the State Department seized them. So we raised money. We had Taj Mahal, Pharaoh Sanders, Oscar Brown Jr., Judy Pace, Aretha Franklin, Stevie Wonder gave a concert free. It went on until 6:30 a.m. in the morning, and these idiots wanted to charge $5,000 for doing some bullshit rubber boot dance that apparently those who worked on cleaning streets in South Africa did. So that's the kind of clown he is. He had an ego problem. He wound up getting some time in the state penitentiary for torturing 3 young women that were in the organization that he suspected of trying to poison him. So they let him out after a year and a day, and he became a tenured professor at the state college system within 2 weeks. Go figure.
Wow.
So they had the SIS unit, or the beginnings of it. It's called Special Investigative Services, and the FBI. And a number of times I got it confirmed to me by LAPD detectives who were still investigating those murders that these folk were working for them. They were trying to bust some more people involved, and every time they went to get them, somebody within the homicide squad had tipped them off.
Mm.
So
yeah, they confidential,
he started off as student body president of LA City College. He was Ron Everett, and he had a Jamaican accent. And then he switched over to being Ron Karenga, and then the Maulana, which is one step or two above Messiah in the scheme of things. And then he got this accent, shaved his head because he had straight wavy hair, and wore these shades because he had blue-gray eyes or whatever they were, green. And he was just sick puppy, power maniac.
Okay, well, I want to bring in another guest, esteemed colleague, Dr. Randy Short. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm okay. And you and the good judge there?
I'm still alive. It's 2020.
I'm good, Judge. You're saying something, and I need you to tell me, is Karanga, is he a Caribbean, or is he a ADOS and FBA trader?
I don't know what the hell he is. He talks like this. Brothers, there's much that the black man needs to know. Howsoever, it is not at all necessary for you to trouble yourselves, because I, my line, will teach you. Now, the first time I heard him, when he was the student body president at LA City College, he had a Jamaican accent, so I don't know which one was real and which one was not. His name was Ron Everett. Then it became Ron Karenga.
Ron
and then
Karenga.
They had this thing, everywhere we are, us is. My line, teach on that. Man, will you shut up? We don't want to hear this fool. Sit down. The Myliner needs to know everything going on in the black community. So that's why you taking shorthand notes. We'll see if you take your ass out of here with them. You know.
Well, he saved from Pottsburg, Maryland, the 14th child and 7th son in the family. He's from Maryland, supposedly. Sharecropper background.
Oh, my.
In Maryland? Oh.
Yeah. That's what it's saying. Pottsburg, Maryland, the 14th child, 7th son in the family. His father was a tenant farmer and Baptist minister who employed the family to work fields under an effective sharecropping arrangement. He moved to Los Angeles in 1959, joining his older brother. Pimp. And he attended Los Angeles City College, like you said, Judge.
Yeah.
Part of CORE, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, took an interest in African studies, and was elected the LACC, the Los Angeles City College first African-American student president.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah. He's from Maryland, I guess. I guess he's from here. He one of us.
I wonder if he's from Prince George's County. They got some coons out there, man. God.
Doc, how you doing, by the way? Yeah, they have some. You know, everybody gets upset about these people supposedly done in by the police, but if you take all of them that have made the news for the last several years, I knew that many that Karenga's organization killed in a 6-month period.
We'll be safe to say that they were acting
so much easier now. Nobody's really getting killed, but people think they are. I mean, the number of black folk that get everybody up in arms, Black Lives Matter and Black Lesbian Mania shit, get all worked up. That many got killed in 2 or 3 days out of a week.
But would be safe to say that they was the government that killed. They was working on behalf of the government. They were government killers.
They were snitches. See, the bottom line is we had a thing going, and black folk took to the streets, and the real brother that got everybody worked up was H. Rap Brown.
Yes.
Nobody gave a damn about Martin Luther King, who was below 35, and most of the people over were acutely embarrassed that he was telling black folk to get out on their knees and pray while some redneck was beating them across the head until some other rednecks felt guilty about it. And a lot of black folk, the generation above me, they didn't want to have anything to do with civil rights because it was too,
weak,
gay, and Bayard Rustin.
Yeah,
I remember they were talking about
John
him.
Lewis.
And my old man and some of his war buddies were talking about that, and they were saying their objection to somebody telling them to be peaceful when they weren't turning any other damn cheek. Raise your hand to me, and you coming back without an arm. That was their attitude. And then they got to talking about they're all like that. So I was about 9 or 10, and I didn't know what was going on. My old man said, I'll explain that to you later. So I was in the 10th grade or the 9th grade, and I'm sitting at the kitchen table doing homework, and the old man dropped the copy of the LA Times in front of me. I think it was the second page, and they noted in the article, noted civil rights activist Bayard Rustin arrested by police, Los Angeles Police Department early this morning, found in the back seat of an automobile with two male white suspects, one
I
of
thought
whom
it was 3.
two, one of whom was sodomizing him while he was performing fellatio on the second.
I thought they weren't going to let anybody turn them around.
Anyway, they got a movement out in California now by LGBTQ to pardon Bayard Rustin
He got
for getting
it.
butt busted and giving up some head at the same time. And I said, hell no, I don't support that. So what about all of the straight young folk that got caught screwing in the back seat of a car? Why don't you pardon them or expunge their records? I mean, I don't think they give a damn now. Everybody's too old to count.
Judge.
But apparently, but Rustin, that was King's right-hand man, was fogging up the windows.
Now, let me tell you, Judge.
But I mean, see,
he got that
H-Rap Brown was the man.
Yes,
Malcolm
sir.
X was, yeah, but Malcolm X was a religious leader. Young folk listen to Malcolm X, but we were down for the cause with H-Rap Brown.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, by the way, I was bodyguard for H-Rap Brown for 1 week. He was in L.A. along with some other brothers. And we asked him, said, look, do not trust these us folk. And the us folk came in before we got there and told him they were going to take his luggage to LAX, that's L.A. airport, and get it checked in so he could get right on the plane. Well, they snuck a carbine in there, broken down. And H-Rap had a federal case on him, so that's what got him thrown in the penitentiary was the carbine that the us folk snuck in his baggage when they were taking it to LAX. See, that's how low down these bastards are. Even though I know some people that came out of there, got in there, they were good friends. See, us got what they call the businessmen, which was a street gang. And the Panther Party had folk in there out of the Slossons, which was another street gang.
Yeah.
Now, in August 1965, when we had that uprising, we got rid of the gangs because nobody felt like being bothered anymore. All of the tension was gone. They had an 18-month period after that where there were only 2 black-on-black homicides, and that was in one case, a wife shot her husband, and a girlfriend shot her boyfriend, both over accusations of infidelity. There were no rapes, no robberies, no burglaries, no assaults, no thefts. Everything went down, and people had been going, where you from, man? Make your run. Bam, bam. A few months later, hey, brother, I want to apologize. I didn't know any better, you know? Power to the people. Yeah, man. Well, not power to the people. Burn, baby, burn. Yeah, man. And we got it out of our systems. LAPD got run the hell out of there, and they had to come in 5 deep if they wanted to come in on a call, which they didn't, because the black folk ran the Los Angeles Police Department and the Sheriff's Department the hell out of our neighborhood, and they had to bring in a division of National Guard troops to restore order. And that was even better because they weren't running around trying to provoke something. I mean, many is the time I'd witnessed something like they used to ride 1 deep, then they started riding 2 deep. 2 LAPD types drive up to a bus stop where some brothers are going to work, get out in there, 15 brothers. Hey, any of you goddamn folk think you all this and that, you want to get a piece of this ass, here it is. Punk, you don't have the nerve. Here it is. Come get some. What's wrong with you, man? We ain't just going to work. Fuck your work, man. Come get a piece of this, punk ass.
Wow.
You know, and they just try to intimidate. Every now and then somebody would shoot one of them, and then they'd get all worked up about it. I mean, it got so bad that they cut down all the trees in South Central LA about 1972 or 3. Why? So they could run helicopter patrols at rooftop level. You try walking out of your apartment one time and all of a sudden, blank, instant daylight, boom, 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 boom. This is a police vehicle. Do not make any furtive movements. Say ground unit will arrive shortly. Hold your identification papers in your right hand. Make no quick movements. Hey, damn, man. What the hell is that shit? Or I took some
birds,
brothers
right?
in
Ghetto birds.
1976. I met out of town. I was back on vacation. They joined me out there. And we were driving down Main Street. I said, man, quick, pull the car over. The brother was driving. I said, no shit, man. We pulled over and turned down another block. The three guys from out of town were going, what the hell's wrong? I said, man, look at the street signs. Why they got brown paper taped over the street signs? That's the problem. Let's walk. We walked 2 blocks down. LAPD was flagging these people down a dead-end street. They had brown paper over the license plates and over the squad car numbers. They didn't have name tags on, and tape across the badge numbers. And they had police mechanics out there, and everybody they flagged down there, they were taking their cars, jacking them up, putting them on milk crates, taking the wheels off, and then putting them on those things that they change tires with, and stripping the tires off the rim, taking the water hoses out, fan belts off, valve covers off, taking the front seat, back seat, unplugging all the electronics, and it was raining. You know, that was LAPD in a black community.
Wow.
Now, nobody around has to deal with that nonsense now. But if you want to see slightly what it was like, they've got this series called Lovecraft Country, and it takes place in and out of Chicago. And what you see going on with the way Chicago police dealt with black folk, that was kind of like until late mid 1960 something all over the country, until it just got too hazardous. Now we have Black Lives Matter, which is just black lesbian mania. So, you know, nobody's ready for the cause. You see all these BLM rallies. There are 11 folk, and 9 or 10 of them are ratchet little vanilla cupcakes with a few chocolate sprinkles around there. That's, you know, same 150. The local police indulged them to keep anything from getting out of hand, and that isn't much of an uprising. That's his bullshit. A bunch of little kids on a extended spring break. What it looks like to me is every now and then when USC and UCLA had their rivalry going on back in the 60s, and one or the other got chosen to go to the Rose Bowl instead of the other one, and the students would protest in their area. And that's just what it looks like.
Let me ask you a question, Judge. There are a lot of people. There's someone that's harassing me in my email, and I'm simply not going for the bait. But what about this not fucking around coalition? Aren't they doing something, or is that something that's, you know, I have just, I don't get it. But are they credible in your estimation, or is it, what is that? You know, the guys that run around with all the guns and wearing black?
I don't know. They may be, may not be. It just strikes me that it's good for altering public opinion, but
beyond public opinion,
they are kind of embarrassing because they don't show good gun handling skills, or a lot of them don't. It looks like they bought a lot of erstwhile tactical equipment in black, and they haven't worn it. And when they go out and turn out someplace, looks like they're about to pass out from heat prostration and out of shape. I don't have any problems with guns and Second Amendment. But
neither do I.
If they aren't, I would suggest that they need to be careful, because they are a magnet for infiltration. And that's something that really happened that very few now get a grip on. Everybody starts talking about unity, black unity. We don't need black unity. We need some selection, because everybody is not somebody you want involved in a dangerous adventure with you.
And Judge, I always say when folks scream about unity, only a fly wants to be unified with shit.
There you go. And that's too much. You got scared people. You got people who are trying to run game, people who are trying to be trendy. see, you're talking about freedom, and freedom is a dangerous phenomenon, whether you white, black, brown, red, yellow talking it, because even if you nominally claim that your country or your locale is into freedom and democracy, you've got these people who don't want you to get into that too deeply because you upset their little apple cart in terms of the dealings that they're trying to deal with.
I would say this too. I think we don't study enough history about what happened in the past. So even Dr. King, he still had a lot of armed black men protecting him, but he got stabbed by that crazy black woman up in Harlem. He had the Dickens for defense when he finished the March Against Fear for James Meredith down in Mississippi. He had the Dickens for defense, veterans from World War II and the Korean War, being his armed bodyguard from Bogalusa, Louisiana.
Yeah, but the way they were doing it is not the effective way. If somebody wants to kill you, you also have to have the remote area covered.
Well, yeah, I look at
that's what happened to King. They shot him from the fire station.
Yeah, but also he didn't have the he didn't have the black security detail from the police department he normally had.
What happened? He did have one brother that was doing Overwatch.
He normally had a whole squad, though. He had a whole unit of black men protected from police department.
Detectives and sergeants.
Yeah, I know the guy who organized it. He's still alive.
But there was one brother that was doing Overwatch on top of the fire station.
Ed Redditt. I talked to him before too. He died now. He's dead. But yeah, I talked to him.
I knew him quite well. And he refused to leave. So they sent 10 white cops. They double handcuffed him, hog-tied his legs with a rope, and literally manhandled him and threw him in the back seat of the squad car and removed him. See, he refused to leave.
But also, you got to look at what Charles Evers, the brother of Medgar Evers, almost made it to 100 years old. I talked to him a couple of times down in Jackson at his radio station. He used to tell me how Dr. King used to run to his house. He said, Charles, I feel so comfortable because you got all the guns and goons. And then Medgar Evers said, his brother said, I believe in the 3 G's, God, guns, and goons. He was a World War II veteran stationed in the Philippines. Charles Evers was nobody punk. He was a gangster in Chicago, and he came back.
That make you a brave man. I don't.
But no, it's not about that. But he was a soldier.
You ain't into the being dead thing.
But he was college educated,
and
he was a soldier.
Can't that be enough for black men? A lot of times, you don't have to be a vet. Just be able to live so you can see, if not your kids, someone else's grandkids. To me, that's enough.
Let me say this. If you get somewhere in life being a black man, if you don't couch out to their bullshit, they're going to come after you and either blackball you like they are me, doing me, or they'll literally try to kill you like they've tried to do to me. And the best thing is to put yourself in a mindset of, if they come after me, I'm going to take some son of a bitch to Valhalla with my ass.
Well, that's the kind of equality folks don't like, that if you bother someone, you go to the morgue too.
Well, there it is. And, everybody's going to wind up dead. You're going to escape death. Ain't nobody getting out of this motherfucker alive, so get ready for it. But did you see that thing I sent you, that video where this guy is trying to badmouth this woman? He says she was moving like she was on the other end of them rounds, laughed my ass off. He didn't even know what the hell he was looking at. This white girl is sitting down on the ground out in the woods with some other people around who are instructing her. It's not obvious, but she's got a black M82 Barrett 50 semi-auto rifle on her left and a white painted Barrett M102 50 caliber semi-auto on her right. So they get her ready, position her and everything, and she rips off a magazine in each at the same time. Sounded like a 50 caliber machine gun. That's what they shot down MiG-15s and Messerschmitts with in World War II and the MiGs in Korea. So she's ripping them off at about 450 rounds a minute. Boom, 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 boom. And she's just taking it. And they want to ridicule her. Yeah, she wild. I don't know why she does something so stupid. I bet her shoulder. Say, fool, you don't even get the idea, you damn idiot. It's this little white girl sitting up there that's doing something that a whole lot of black men would pull the trigger once. I ain't shooting that no more. And believe me, I have encountered that with those particular types of weapons. So she's sitting up there ripping off 2 of them. Why is she doing it? I said, because I guess she's practicing suppressive fire. Anybody on the downstream up to a mile away is going to be in deep trouble. And if she can do that, 2 of them at the same time, more power to her. And I just said, you should be looking at that. And if you can't do that, don't ridicule it because somebody understands freedom for the cause and being ready for Freddie, so to speak. And I was amazed at some of the sisters that were trying to down that white woman. She looked dazed when she got through. Well, yeah, fool. Sometimes some of the things you got to do when you touch them off, that might leave you dazed. But you got to be able to handle it. And this young white girl was. And I'm going, damn. Instead of looking at the video and getting inspired, they wanted to, that ain't about nothing. Look at her. She looked like she been shook up. Yeah, that was too much for her to handle. She did it. And she's talking about how she got off on it.
I mean, you know what, Judge and Dr. Randy, I'm wondering, are we really ready for the revolution? I think a lot of us too concerned about PlayStation 5 and football to really and NBA. What LeBron is going to say about social justice? Okay. How can we get ready for revolution from y'all? I mean,
it's a mindset.
Okay.
Your ass worried about bling more than you are bang, about Air Jordans than you are. No, you worried about ambling along in some Air Jordans instead of ammo? What's the matter with you? Hell no, you're not ready.
Somebody said bullets over butter. Man,
well, I mean, we need bullets over booty.
Yeah, we'll see. No, booty is inspirational, you know. But
you said inspirational.
Yeah, back in the 60s, brothers were wearing combat boots and running shoes and not running shoes, combat boots, jeans and fatigues and field jackets.
Yeah.
And they were ready to get up if the shit hit the fan. Now they walk around all pretty with little girls, pedal pushes on, hugging those ankles, can't get an ankle holster on, and half of them can't qualify to carry anyway because they've been messing up with their lives, ripping off, robbing, raping, poisoning their neighborhoods. That's not cool. And by the way, the penitentiaries are not filled with revolutionary brothers. There are a few that get caught up in there, but most of them need to be in there because they did not play Robin Hood for their neighborhoods. They preyed on their neighborhoods and fucked them up. They don't have manhood because they didn't have daddies around and nobody taught them.
I got to ask y'all this as well. We brought up H. Rap Brown. And people criticize Trump's latest round of pardons. He ain't through yet. He's going to probably pardon some more interesting people. But if black folks really was on cold, how come we still got H. Rap Brown riding away in Supermax, wherever he at? And the guy who did kill the sheriff deputy confessed years ago. A black dude said he did it. He's in custody as far as I know. But H. Rap Brown is still riding away. How come we can't get him out and get Trump to get him out?
Well, we ought to press for that. I mean, he did do Jack Johnson and that Obama tang asshole Bush bunny up in there, wouldn't?
Because Trump got out Manafort and Roger Stone and everybody.
The FBI got created to catch Jack Johnson because too many white women loved him and he had a white wife. So they finally caught him and used that as an impetus to get the Mann Act. Then he escaped and went to France. They wouldn't extradite him back. Then there's no good mammy got to know my baby mama so want to see you again. Can't you come back? So he tried to sneak back in, got caught. He wound up serving the sentence. And he got killed in a car wreck, they say, in 1946. But, I mean, he was the hero to a lot of black folk then. I mean, he was sort of a Muhammad Ali. I mean, couldn't anybody whip him? He beat all the rednecks who came on as the Great White Hope. That's where they got that term for, the Great White Hope. Who's going to beat Jack Johnson? Nobody.
And I believe he threw that fight in Cuba.
Bush bunny asshole who was in there. Speaking of pardons, that jackass pardoned 23 executives for British Petroleum, with whom his trust fund is a major investor, who got busted for that oil rig blowout down in the Gulf. They should
10
have
years
been
ago.
But he pardoned them before they even went to trial.
Mm. You know what? I think Stacey Abrams is the great white hope now. Or that woman Kizzy. The ones that they're using, like, forgive me, I just have to say, Judge, I don't have an issue with medication, even vaccines, but this Moderna one, did you hear that all these people getting side effects, having allergic reactions?
I'm not worried about that. I know how to read the DNA codes and so forth and the raw research. I had a background in that stuff. What I'm looking at is there's no statistical correlation over a deep enough field survey to tell whether what they're coming up with is random correlation, random coincidence, rather, or actual correlation.
Mm.
They're telling some mistruths to the public, like the one that this bitch boy Biden, Joe and the Ho, that bunch, they're talking about 100 million vaccinations in 100 days. Well, guess what? What they're pushing takes 2 vaccinations 3 weeks apart to be effective. And so far, they don't have enough to show anything beyond random statistical association, random association. We don't know how long the immunity is granted. They haven't a clue. If you actually catch COVID-19 and you survive, your maximum immunity appears to be no longer than 90 days, and you can catch it again. And they've got people who've caught it for the 3rd time around. And you got a lot of people who are dead are not tested because forensic folk don't like to touch the dead bodies because the pathologist can be infected from the dead person. So they don't want to touch that. Like, he's dead, let his ass over there. I ain't cutting him up and getting infected. I don't know him, didn't love him, fuck him. You know, he's dead now. Looks like he died of COVID-19. But I predicted some months ago on the analysis I was doing that we'd be up to around 3,500 dead a day, which is about where we are. And I'm predicting that this has not yet run its course, and we're going to be looking at 1 million to 1.5 million dead folks somewhere through March this year coming up. Now, they've just got England has been sealed off to air traffic because they've got a new strain that is more virulent than the current one. They don't know if it kills more, it's more lethal or not. And they've got another one that comes up out of South Africa that is more virulent in terms of it's more infective. So the stuff is mutating. And I hear people talking nonsense about somebody created in a lab, then come up with a. No, that is not what's happening. And no billionaires running around with a plot to sell vaccines. If you want something primitive, just think about Frankenstein's monster. By the way, the monster is not named Frankenstein. Frankenstein is the doctor that creates him, but once the monster gets out of his lab, it's got a mind of its own. And this is a beta coronavirus that's flying around with an S on its chest and a cape. So beware, it ain't over yet. This is just the consequence of so many people and so many domestic animals we either pet or we eat.
But Judge, what happened to people dying from the flu or pneumonia? Where those people at? Just died normally of the flu or pneumonia. Why is all this COVID stuff?
Well, COVID's something different, but we predicted. I think I had a course. It was called The Role of Pathogens and Extinction Events and also Vertebrate Evolution, 1967. And we were discussing back then, 53 years ago, how this is going to be inevitable. Some pathogen is going to take advantage of air traffic and fast communication and start feasting or replicating upon the huge human population, all of the animals that humans consume. Like, for example, humans consume roughly 230, 240 billion chickens every year, and we find out chickens can be infested with SARS-CoV-2, which is what causes COVID-19. We eat a whole bunch of pigs and they can get infected. The whole bunch of cows, they can get infected. We've got a lot of dogs as pets. They get infected. Coyotes and foxes and wolves can be infected. Ordinary birds can get infected. Bats get infected. Minks and other small predators, raccoons and stuff, get infected. Deer can get infected, and all this stuff is running through our backyards, our living rooms, or whatever. Cats can be infected. Lions and tigers can be infected. Panthers can be infected. We've got a monster out there, and it mutated and it evolved. It's just like, oh, wow. Look at this new landscape. We can take over and replicate.
Now, Judge, I have a question to ask you. This corona stuff isn't new, but are you saying that there's no gain of function research at all, and that
there's not been enough time?
Not enough time, so people can't sit down and work on this in a laboratory. There's no such thing as gain of function.
Well, here's what's going on. I did the math a few months back, and I just out of curiosity looked up 5 of the top folk in virology studying viruses and epidemics. And if you took them, added up their salaries and their research budgets, well, hell, you pay LeBron more in 1 year than you pay all 5 of these folk for what they do and their research budget. So what does that say about our value system as a society when we play distractions more than we play stuff that will save us? It's not President Trump's fault. It's not Obama Tang's fault. It's not Bush's fault, because they don't have any damn degrees in science. Fauci does, but he doesn't specialize in the requisite fields. The solutions come out of the heads of nerds in lab coats who might wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning, go, oh my God, that's it, and rush down to the lab early to see if it works. You can throw money at them, but that's not going to do anything about how fast this works. And some asshole running around, we're going to have 100 million doses in 100 days. Oh, you jackass, you failed at every other damn thing in life. Why the hell are you supposed to come up now? You're going to inspire these smart guys, which you aren't, to come up with something. I know that's like some clients I've had. Man, when you going to come up with something? Say, fuck ass, you came up with this bullshit that you expect me to get out of. I got to think of something novel, fool. It hadn't been thought up with before. Now shut the hell up. And by the way, where is my money? Inspire me. I don't even like you much. It's all principles.
Well, I got to ask y'all about the Trump. Like, Trump is interesting. Like, Judge, I know you know the law very well. You're a judge. You're a lawyer. You play both sides, defense, prosecution. What do you make of this Trump thing with the voting situation? Is there any daylight for him in terms of the courts, you think?
Yeah, there might be. And let's see what happens. Most of what's happened with the court so far is just the issue isn't ripe because the Electoral College hasn't voted and you haven't yet suffered any harm. There are a number of Republicans who've indicated they will vote to not accept this. And if it does not get accepted, it goes to the House. And the interesting thing is, if it goes to the House, each state gets just 1 vote. There's also a very big discrepancy in American law, and it does not have any statutory schemes that really address the issue, and that's voter fraud. There is no way you can get around the conclusion that there is voter fraud if you see a state having 102% voter turnout, 103, 107. That means there are more votes cast than there are people to cast them. And the U.S., unfortunately, has had a voting system in place much longer than anybody else. And as a consequence of that and habit, we probably indulge in election fraud more extensively than any other place on the planet, bar none. And we have yet to come up with solutions because generally it's on a localized ad hoc basis that we have to deal with it. So that's a gap in the law. It's gone on a lot. even locally here in Shelby County, you are aware, for example, we've talked about, you and I, about these corrupt voting machines.
Yeah.
You are aware that the feds threatened to sue the county commissioners last year if they did not pass the resolution. Well, they kept it concealed from the public, which is against Tennessee law. They did have the vote. They did pass the resolution to replace the machines. And guess what? They got the replacement machines in January, but they've been in a warehouse. Instead of taking the new machines out for the state and local primary and then main election, and for the federal primary and main election, they used the corrupt ones. And, you know, well, somebody ignorant said, well, you know, there's trouble taking it out of the warehouse. I said, by law, every time they get through using a machine, and that's several times since January, the corrupt ones, you have to put them back in the warehouse and then take them out. Why didn't they just take the good ones out and go ditch the old ones? Well, we need them for parts. No, you can't use that shit. It's tainted. And then they wanted to tell me that, well, in the municipalities outside of Memphis, they use the new machines. Well, I vote in Germantown. I didn't see a new machine. It's the same old one I've been looking at for years. You know, so we have that locally. And we've got an agenda that's on the table, but it's covered up with linen tablecloth so you can't see it. But the agenda basically is queer folk versus straight and normal folk. And by the way, you know, their new pejorative for us is breeders. Tuned in on some, oh my God, it's a breeder. Oh, you know, this don't have any code. And then you see this thing they're talking about, let the children pick what they want to be called.
Yeah.
I'll be damned if I'm going to go for that. You're either a he, she, or it. You got a dick, you're a he. You may not act like it, but I ain't calling you a she because I like she's. And if you ain't got no pussy, then screw your ass. Go find somebody that wants to, because I don't. You know, I'm not giving you the deference I give a beautiful woman and what she goes through and suffers being a woman.
Absolutely. And why would anybody want?
Oh, man up, you damn fool. And it gets me. They hate the fact that they're men and want to be women, but they hate women. They don't even like pussy. They like boys, but they hate being a boy. So that's sick. So why should we listen to them? And then the other ones, they hate being a woman and they hate men. So you hate what you are and you hate what you want to be. Why the hell are we letting them set the tone?
Exactly. And who wants 5 or below cooch? Or 5 or below, you know, a snapping turtle looking vagina that the women, when they get cut all up, that's a sexual mutilation. It's not a sex change.
Yeah. And then how about this one? You men are objectifying beauty. Well, hell, fool, we're supposed to be attracted to it. That's why humans don't look like chimps any damn more. We look like we do.
Hey, Judge, one of the people from my audience, they want to know, how do you feel about, I call them gruesome or screwsome, that there won't be a black in the Senate from California today? What do you think about that?
There hasn't been one in the Senate from California. So what the hell are they complaining about?
Well, you know, some people don't know.
54% of California is Hispanic. So the governor had some good sense and picked the Hispanic to be in there. Yeah, man, they black that fool. I was in California when that fool was running for DA in San Francisco. She ran as an Indian, a Hindu. When she ran for state's attorney, she ran as a Hindu. When she ran for Attorney General of California, she ran as a Hindu. When she ran for a goddamn senator, she ran as a Hindu. Now this bitch decided she want to be black? Hell no. Just because there's a similarity in color.
But we need to help you and I and Ron. We're going to go find that dot and put some Gorilla Glue on it and put it back on her forehead to help her remember who she is.
Hey, Indian health, nothing wrong with Hindus. They're noble people, except they got this caste system where if you brush up against an untouchable, you got to get purified, even if you didn't realize it. Hey,
well, wouldn't that mean?
So did you realize that when you went through the door of the department store, you brushed up against untouchability? No,
and
you need purification.
Aren't we the untouchables?
Mm.
Kamama
No,
sees us as we
that
not the untouchables.
not like that over there. See, that culture, untouchables are fit only to catch and eat rats. That's what they're supposed to do for farmers. Catch the rats, and if they want to eat the rats they catch. They have temples in Calcutta dedicated to the rat.
Yes,
For
I'm
benefit
familiar
of
with
the
it.
untouchables.
Yeah, Rajputana. And they have all the
see,
rats in there, and the rats eat better than the people do.
Yeah. See, it's like they make the poor folk that are untouchables. That's why they adopted the Muslim custom. You wipe your ass with your left hand. They don't have toilet paper. So they go around left hand smelling like shit, and their ass at least doesn't go up what little limited one pair of drawers they got to live off in. No pants. Hell, it's a shame. And they're trying to bring that shit over here. You know, you call up, I got a computer problem. You got to reach in the service department. This is Calcutta. What can we do for you?
And you know, Kamama wants to bring 500,000 of them over here.
Yes, you know, I noticed. God damn. And then she sent him that phone call where she told him goddamn slaves, look, don't think you're going to get something. We didn't promise you shit. You know, didn't you know you were voting gay when you voted this? A lot of you, you know, we know you like to bend over and drop your boxes.
Yeah, let me ask you, are you watching this man's wife that's trending? And she was fine too. This preacher, Raphael Warnock. Or I call him Warnock.
Ran over a foot.
Yeah, I mean, he ran over with the babies in the car. I mean, he looks like a Mr.
He looks like he is sweet as pure cane sugar from Hawaii.
Right. He looks like Mr. Potato Head. This dude is no good.
Lame.
He remind me of Chester Peanut, though. Chester the Peanut.
Yeah, he
got that head like that.
Man, I can't
calling
believe
you out. Talking about she found out you was down low. Now bring your ass out the closet.
I'll be honest with y'all. I don't think that he tried to run on her foot on purpose. I don't think he did on purpose.
Right.
I do.
You do? Why you think? I don't think so. Why, Dr. Short?
But let me show you why. Hold it. Let's just go here. Look. He had a full scholarship to Morehouse. Now I wonder how he got it. That's one.
He bent over. God damn, go to Morehouse and
I'm gonna say the disclaimer at the end of the show. I ain't worried about it, but go ahead.
Okay. You know, I guess his song, you know, Mahalia Jackson used to sing How I Got Over. And he's probably singing How I Bent Over. My soul looks back and wonders. Look, it's alleged everywhere that he's been, it's been deviant. He's at Morehouse, deviant. He goes to what I call Union Theological Seminary. That's deviant. You go to Abyssinia with Butts, and Butts is out there. I mean, the man's name is Butt. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with Calvin other than he don't really care about black people. But Calvin Butts is one of the main pastors pushing for marriage equality. Okay. So you get this marriage.
He got too many members of his congregation he likes to bump butts with.
Okay. Then dude goes to he sends War Nuts down to Baltimore, and he's in one of those community churches. It should be called Slum Unity, where you can just do anything as long as you come in. And then they catch some kids are getting messed with. He said not sexually. No one told him to say sexual. He said kids are being abused at your church camp. He said, well, it's not sexual. Okay, ho. Then he gets run out of Baltimore. Then he's in Atlanta. And he's out there arguing for, if you've read his articles, he's going to punish all the mealy mouth people that don't support LGBTQ. He's going to punish them. He's, you know, by the way, we marched on his headquarters. I was with Martin Luther King's niece. We marched to the door. A whole bunch of very effeminate white guys came and locked the door. My eyes saw this. My eyes, glory.
You know what? I agree with you, Doctor. He didn't intend to run over that woman's foot. He just kind of got panicked because she caught him with another dude.
Well, but you know, I think his wrist hit the ignition too fast. But anyway,
well, I just think he's trying to get up out of there.
I'm
he
saying
ran
to you
over his wife's foot, who had been tolerating him with his gay-looking self. That's all right to be gay, but I mean, come on.
No, but the thing is,
let us know what your
hold
agenda
it.
is. They want to know every time some black man or white man who's straight sniffs pussy. So,
but here's the thing.
Come on out the closet, tell us you've been sniffing ass and dick. So, you know.
Yeah, but the point is that here's the thing. At Ebenezer, he pushing all that stuff. Then when he goes,
he is one.
Okay, hold it.
They don't even push being black like that.
That's
time I looked at you, you
Ron,
would qualify for being black in the United States of America.
His wife was crying at their wedding, and his wife is pretty.
Yeah, she's a pretty woman.
She's the prettiest ass woman I've seen have her foot run over. I'm gonna just say something to you. I mean, I wouldn't be running over her feet. I might be sucking on it, but I wouldn't run it over with the car.
That's a pretty, but I don't think he did on purpose because it was no damage done. That's what I'm saying.
No,
it was like
Ron, the door of the car was open. She was still talking to him, and you drive off.
Well, he was careless. Let's put it negligent.
Okay, I'll give
he's been negligent because she's got a vagina.
He just wasn't exercising proper care because she caught his ass with another dude.
But the point is, she knows more than that because he goes.
No, that's what she said. She said, "I caught him with another man."
Oh, I said
that. She said that.
She said that. She said that's what he was trying to get away.
Okay, all right. Hey, Ron, wait a minute. Didn't I tell you he was a punk a long time ago? I've told everybody this nigga's a chump. I'm not sorry about it. And it's alleged that his boyfriend is the pastor of the church Jeremiah Wright used to have.
Yeah, Otis Moss is the Otis Moss. That's
I didn't say. I mean that. This
allegedly, I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm just putting. I don't know who the
allegation. I don't. You know, I'm not mad at none of these people on a certain level, but even when you go to Chicago, you go to Trinity. Trinity is one of the leading churches to push for gay marriage. It's the Down Low Club there. All of that is in Trinity. I'm not picking at anything good Trinity does, but Trinity is a church where that's what goes on. So when he leaves Atlanta, he goes to Trinity. I'm sorry, everywhere he goes, there seems to be like a condom with some brown stuff on it. It's like a trail of like little cheese pieces to get a mouse to a trap. This seems to be everywhere he goes. It's one of these. And I just have issues with dude. I have issues because there are homeless people, starving people, broke down people all around that church, and they're not helping them. And I'm just going to say, across from your church, you got, I mean, even the statue in Ebenezer, the dude has a thong on, holding up a baby. I mean, he does have a thong on. Okay. And I was against that statue before they put it up when I was in divinity school. Look, right across the street, you got the King Center for Social Change. And we know the kind of change that War Nuts and the other one I call Jack Off. He looks like a Pride Day canopy. Like if you come down to Pride Month, you get to take him home after hours. They're going to give us two. They're going to give us 2 Starburst Skittles for the price of one. I love this dude's wife. And you looking at the face of one of the people that was raised in hell for the wife to be pressed to come out and expose that dude. Mr. Sodomite Potato Head, he shouldn't even be in a pulpit. Okay. And it's alleged that dude is playing with the money in Dr. King's church. We've gone from the Poor People's Campaign to the Horse People's Campaign under Warnock. They need to get his ass out of Ebenezer. I don't care how gay the church is. At least let the pastors be straight in honor of Martin Luther King, whose civic duty was banging black booty.
Let me ask you a question. How does a preacher disregard all of that theology and scripture on the subject and act like it doesn't exist?
It's called the Boule, which he's a part of.
Yeah, but how do you still hold yourself out to be a preacher in some of the most fundamental aspects of the religion you're teaching? You are violating.
You know how they do it? let me just share with you, and I agree with you. What is missing, or what should exist? By the way, I was down in Atlanta, Judge Joe Brown, and I started taking video of homeless people sleeping outside of Martin Luther King's church. And I think Warnock called and complained to the King family, and I got removed from the from the political campaign because there might be some Skittles in Dr. King's family, and their dream is to be wet instead of dry. There might be. So we lack prophets. We lack people who embarrass and expose folks. People were mad. I took pictures of people sleeping in the front door of Martin Luther King's church. Who do you think you are? I said, the person telling the truth. The reason that we've got these no good, coon, deviant preachers is that folks don't dog them. We in the Old Testament, they had the little punks too, but you always had a prophet that would call people names, denounce them. Like John the Baptist telling Herod, you're screwing your sister, and they had to kill him. That's all the people repeated.
You know what? If one of those Old Testament prophets, or even some in the New Testament, got on Twitter, they'd be banned.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, war nuts. No, we got war nuts. I was the first person to go online and denounce that Negro for being twisted. It went all over. Called him, he has no business being in a pulpit, not even a Senate, neither one. Let him go to Fire Island.
Right,
brother Ron, I did that first. I think you saw the video.
Yeah, I seen it. It was disturbing.
And I put up my vestments on. Nigga, you ain't no preacher. You're a false prophet. Get your ass out of the ministry and don't try to be my leader. Other people were afraid to do that. They only started doing it in the last week. Why didn't T.D. Jakes do it? Why didn't a bunch of these people do it? Because a lot of them are down for this stuff. And I have to say this to you. No matter what, I used to be a waiter. I am not mad at people and their sexuality, but I tell you something. Gay people tip. Gay people will give you some money if you don't talk about what they do. So these preachers get big checks to be silent about it if they're not doing it themselves. And so the real issue is that the people want money. Even the Pope, you got the Pope pushing this thing. Not that we're surprised when you hang with a bunch of dudes wearing dresses in a place with no women in it. We already worried about you. But now you got the Pope. I mean, he's basically a homosexual. He's done everything except do a blowjob before he gives his homily on Sunday. I mean, they're really pushing this thing real hard. And the scriptures say the Antichrist isn't going to like women too much.
And on that, Brother Coolicc, it's an honor to have you on the show. How you doing today, brother?
How you doing there? We all be much respect for the invitation there. Dr. Short, Judge Joe Brown, how you doing there? Definitely want to get you on a podcast also. Y'all brothers tearing it up. How y'all doing?
I want you to, Judge, and we got to pick up some. We're gonna pick it up this year. Social media for Black folks. We got to raise some hell, Brother Coolicc. All the women on my channel love you, my God. You know what they said? You know what? He hate women so much I can change him. She said, I get his pants. He's gonna come back to some Black women. We're gonna break his back. It's just, I don't know who broke his heart, but I'm gonna put his heart back together and break his back through my heart and through my headboard. So you come on there telling the truth, it's turn on certain people. He think nobody can get him. I can get him. So now people say, when you gonna bring him back? And does he have his own calendar? I don't know. I have to ask him, anyway. But Judge, thank you for raising hell. Brother Ron, thank you for raising hell. It's literally, you're talking about these preachers, Judge. These preachers, and I don't know if you saw it, Judge. I put up on your Twitter. I went after Warnock in my vestments and denounced that fool as a false prophet, a liar, a deviant, all of it. That went all over the country. By the way, he saw me coming up the street. They locked their door because I was out there screaming, "We shall overcome." I mean, but this man, all of these people need folks. If you saw the show, the movie Lean on Me, and there was a woman that couldn't stand the principal.
Yeah,
we need Black folks who don't care about what your name is. I don't care if you're famous. I don't care if you're rich. If you're no damn good, I'm against you. Like we were on John Lewis, punk ass John Lewis. By the way, Judge, just a couple of days ago, one of Elijah Cummings' mistresses got mad at me, so I had to block her on Facebook because she's so mad at me for talking about him. I didn't say anything that wasn't a lie. So what, you screwed him? It doesn't mean he didn't have syphilis or whatever it was in his heart. I mean, y'all publish it and I can't talk about it. We need Black folks to be like they used to be back when you were a student. Remember when a Black leader or figure was an Uncle Tom, everybody gave that person hell. Everybody. Nowadays, when a Black person has a few dollars, we bow down and worship people as if their success, which is based on our approval of that person, it makes them, a sacred cow where you can't talk about them. I don't agree with that. I especially don't like preachers that are liars. I mean, when I was in Atlanta, I had to school a pastor from Alabama because he was asking how did Warnock happen. I says, well, all you preachers are in these associations that endorse LGBTQ and pedophilia. It says you're in a pro-pedophile church. And he asked me to explain how. When I did, he started crying on the phone. He had no idea that all these churches, and they're all up behind that big, fat, greasy preacher, Reverend William Barbecue, or Revert Barbecue. The one with he's got as many gods as he has asses. This man is a liar. He says a lot of stuff about poor people that's true, but they're talking just enough Black and economic empowerment to get us to push pedophilia, deviancy, hormone blocking, and puberty blocking drugs for our kids.
Let me ask you something here. Question. In my mind, I see a correlation that exists between when preachers started tolerating this, some preachers started tolerating this, promoting this, and when they stopped preaching about sin and started preaching that all you needed was belief
and love,
irrespective of what your deeds were. It's like they were setting this up.
I agree.
Like, how can you get up in front of a pulpit and all these little freaks you've got bouncing around out of time to the music, clapping and all happy, and you know what they're doing? They're dealing with being abominations under the scripture that you're supposed to be teaching to your congregation, and you come out and out of your own mouth you say that's okay. What are you doing? That doesn't match what your obligation is, which is to teach and explain scripture to people. Now, where did you get what you're doing? Or are you just using that cross as an excuse to get people in the door who have needs that you can pander to so you can get another message
for a lot of people, the cross is just the dildo with the handle. Okay.
Well, I look at it this way too. When I first started looking at this, all these little freak boys bound, it's a dildo with a handle. But when you get all these little freak boys bouncing up and down next to the pulpit all out of time with the music, all these children growing up 30, 35 years later, now that's part of the Christian experience. So I guess it's in their heads like all the rest of it, except the preachers don't talk about that other stuff anymore. It's very selective.
The preachers are selective. They mainly what the preachers have been pushing for, from what I experience, is these no good preachers just want money. They want celebrity.
Pimpin'!
And they want a little bit of sex. And unfortunately, it's not even just women anymore. So, I mean, if you start looking, a lot of people going into the ministry to do human trafficking. They're in the ministry. They sell dope. You have a lot of gangbangers. People come out of prison and they become preachers. And on top of that, if they get the 501 slavery money instead of 501c3, these people become slaves to the state. If you have a church in San Francisco, you're more than likely doing gay marriages if you don't want the whole city to come down here. I'm just saying, because the guy in Colorado, he's got to bake a cake with people doing blowjobs, or they're going to put him out of business. I mean, I've talked to the dude that the people have gotten into the political system in such a way, as to influence the local politics. And then, Judge, the thing that's really bad is that the people on the left, I don't know if you're aware, but the same time that this just love everybody and everybody's going to heaven, the communists, the socialists, all of these people started seeing gay people as a minority, just like black people. This started late 60s, early 70s. So once they began to be seen as a minority, well, it says, well, if you can love blacks, you can love gays. And a lot of people buy into that. I don't receive that. But in fact, I think I even have my book out here. Here it is, The Pink Swastika. Pink Swastika. And The Pink Swastika is a book that talks about how the Nazis were all queens, and they didn't really burn all the books they were having, burn up their dossiers of how deviant the Nazi leadership was. But what happened, there's been a systematic movement by people on the left to make gayness a minority group. And they even got that narrative in that Hitler was killing us like the blacks, Jews, gypsies, and Slavs. We're a persecuted minority group, and therefore you have to receive us. And initially, the LGBTQ folks tried to hook up with the Jews. And even though the Jews have plenty of folks that are gay, that are in the gay movement, that are into pedophilia, whatever, they have their share. The organized Jewish leadership refused to take on gays as partners. So they looked for a group that had some legitimacy, that was weak, that they could run this on. And they found black people. And in particular, they found the most crooked, sinister group of black people, which are black pastors. I've met a lot of just no good. A preacher's kid. Preachers, are really, really awful, and they can be gangsters, drug dealers, deviants, pedophiles. They can have it all together.
Wait. Look, I got to tell you this. Interject. Before I got on the bench, it's been about 32, 33 years ago. I got hired by this church to mediate a dispute over who was going to be the new pastor. One of them was a acknowledged homosexual, and he was so flaming gay. And the other one boasted of how he got out the penitentiary. Just got out the penitentiary, and he was pimping, and his hoes was demanding that he deliver Jesus to them.
And the other thing,
are you serious? I said. So what they did was they wanted each of them to preach 4 sermons, or 3, and they were going to vote on which one they wanted to be the pastor. So I'm listening to this guy talk about the Lord's indulgences for gay folk, and over here this guy talking about his hoes that he used to pimp and how they needed Jesus too. So I'm going, oh man!
But did they need Jesus for their soul, or did they need Jesus to help them when they were getting a poll? And I'm just saying, look, I'm just saying to you what I'm seeing, and it's gospel music is like a toilet bowl. I mean, because if you really want to see something bad, I mean, even Ray Charles would tell you. I mean, you knew C.L. Franklin, right? You knew him, Reverend C.L. Franklin.
$1 Million Boy.
Of him. I don't think I know.
Okay,
him.
Well, preachers and these gospel musicians, they get down. I mean, I don't know what it is, but you want to meet some people that screw some church folks. When Coolicc comes to town, man, when they have UNAC or when you have a church convention, these people screw more than the folk out on the street. I'm just saying, if I never went to any of the conventions. They steal the soap out the hotel room. They take the towels. I mean, come on, you from Memphis.
Yeah, I heard about it.
You know where the convention center hotel is downtown, Brother Rod?
Yes, sir.
Right across from the convention center. They used to have a pretty good buffet up in there, and Coolicc would come to town, and there would be 10, 15 of them at a table, and they'd sneak off to go to the men's room, and somebody else would put their coat on and come back and sit down. So 25 or 30 of these fools would eat off of one tab instead of the 10 that were at the table. And then they tipped the waiter 25 cents. You know, it's like, man.
Yeah, I heard about that.
No, I'm just telling you, I worked as a waiter. If nobody wanted to work on Sunday, because the people of God believed in slavery, they would work the hell out of you. I mean, if the drink, if it was an unlimited drink, these people would be drinking 10, 20 Cokes at a sitting, all of them. And they would stiff you. They would give you a bad report. I'm not saying all, but one time I got to a table and it was niggas I knew from church, and they all got scared. You know what they did?
What?
They had me switch because they knew I would go off and call their pastor and all that kind of stuff. But just when you tell people that you're the head, not the tail, a lot of these folks in church think they're better than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not better than anybody. God is better than everybody. I'm lucky to know God. Not, you know what I'm saying? So these preachers, like, I know who know this idiot in Atlanta, War Nuts. I'm talking about you, listen, effeminate Mr. Potato Head looking coon. I told people he was no damn good. I mean, I'm going to tell you the story, Judge. I looked at that Mr. Potato Head picture. He said, this is, oh my God. I start calling Alveda King. Do you go to church with that punk ass nigga? I mean, you know he's stealing. He's sweet. He's a liar. I mean, I said, I don't even know him. I just looked at him and I could see this. Judge, I don't even know how you make it.
Look at the girl, the wife. She's going, I just don't know if I can take this any longer. I mean, all I can take it. She's
well,
crying.
she was crying at the wedding.
Going, well, she's just a proverbial liar, and I don't have any idea what she is talking to or inferring.
Look, he's a chump. He's a chump coon. Let me just say to you, he's in his videos eating pizza and running with his dog for running. I mean, when you're a politician and you're married, you showcase your family. Why are you hiding your kids, hiding your wife? That's to appeal to metrosexual people. It's the whole campaign. Look, I got video in my phone here of homeless people saying that they haven't even seen any black people go into his campaign headquarters. They look like they're all white queens. That's what he wants around. I mean,
that's what he's doing.
And
look at Biden talking to his house Negroes and third floor bed wenches. And he's telling them, fool, you knew you was a slave when you came in on this. We're just being nice.
Yeah, and that's
Don't
my
expect
point.
anything out of this.
And Al Sharpton looking like a prune with a wig on. I mean, just it's really sad.
Is he going back to that gas head he got from his boy James Brown?
It's sad, but I'm just going to tell you, the one thing I like about COVID, as horrific as it's been, and it's an answer to prayer. I've been praying to God for years to punish some of these no good nigga preachers. The stuff that they've done to our people, man, gotten away with it. People can't see. And it's kind of nice because, they can't even show off and get salt stains in their robes and shit because everything's closed. I've had to tell preachers, y'all have never been unemployed. Y'all been taken care of. So y'all who have the people listening to you, y'all don't think about nobody but yourselves. Even when they have their little pastoral conferences, they only talk to preachers. They don't have a conference to bring in doctors or lawyers or nutritionists for them to learn something. They only compete with each other. And so basically,
it's wild.
It's once you get into that club of thugs, nothing else matters. It's like here in DC, Judge, they're trying to legalize prostitution again. But like a year or so ago, when I organized a couple of people to fight prostitution being legalized, do you know that I asked to speak with the bastard Baptist ministers group?
Why are they so anxious to legalize prostitution in D.C.?
We already have it.
Nixon used to have the White House Secret Service staff down on 14th and U, at that Walgreens picking up hoes. I mean, I remember that back in the early 1970s, and Jerry Ford too. Carter was cool, you know. Nixon, Reagan wasn't interested. He liked the boys, but you know, they had their little episodes with Bush Senior. I don't know about Clinton. Clinton had enough going, but is that why they're trying to legitimate, you know, prostitution in D.C., or is it that they just too used to rough trade and they're trying to get that going back on again?
The city council is full of deviants. Okay,
it looks like it.
It's full of deviants, and what I really think they want to do, this is a way to push Black people out of the city, because our children would be literally dragged into sex trafficking, sex work, and all of that. They would teach this in the schools. The way they want to do it is basically make Black folks in DC whores, queers, tricks to accommodate.
Well, there are hardly any Black folk in D.C. that are American Black folk, unless there are a few that work there. That's that gentrification and run everybody out. I know my son and I were trying to find a place to eat. We had to go to blocks to find some restaurant that didn't have a rainbow flag in the window, and I wasn't going up in there. No telling what kind of strange shit was being that food.
Yeah, some extra fudge in the fudge cake.
Well, no.
Don't you know what? Fudge cake where you see the rainbow sign.
No, they think booty hair is a garnish on your food. So look, I don't eat out much, Judge. I stay indoors.
You said that, not me, but I'm not disagreeing.
I'm just telling you that the Black people are still here, but they're hiding. I mean, I put up a video the other day. I mean, every time there's something Black, before you know it, they're throwing up apartments. They're not even full. It's empty. They're just building in anticipation. Let me tell you why they're doing all this building now. They're anticipating that Biden will win, and then they'll have all this LGBTQ stuff like it was with Obama. And this is another reason
Obama
why.
Dang.
Well, I say Ofaga. Ofaga.
Bush Bunny. Bush
Ofaga
boy was the president before him. Bush Bunny is the one that was him, the Obama Dang.
Captain Rainbow. Captain Rainbow.
Ofaga.
Captain Rainbow.
Captain Rainbow.
Ofaga. Look, the man.
I'm gonna say a disclaimer at the end of this show. I ain't worried about it.
Look, all I'm saying to you,
that son of a bitch was president. I never saw him once call anybody Black Mr. or Ms.
That's
or Mrs. Not one damn time. Bobby, Mary, Susan, Tamika, Tomadila, whatever in the hell, but not one Ms. or Mrs. or Mr.
Well, see, these people want Obama to come back, and Biden represents a dick-looking good return. I mean, Biden. They want to go back to this, so they're building up their rainbow flags. They even got all of this they want to bring back. If as much as people dislike Trump, Donald Trump did not bow down to the LGBTQ, although he has let them do this.
Well, that's what that whole election cycle was about. It's about norms and breeders versus queers and freaks. That's what it was. I mean,
it is.
Look, I'm sorry.
It's true.
All this faux science bullshit to talk about 58 genders, that's some sick shit. Because most of those folk that are putting that shit out are practicing themselves. They unbelt, they drop britches, drop boxers, and spread butt cheeks after they bent over.
Well, Judge,
they're
you
trying
see
to
it.
make what they do is okay. Well, get in your bedroom, then we don't know about it. Don't bring that shit out.
And I agree, Judge, but look at that. Most people weren't saying that the biggest.
Get on top. I like when you riding. Why can't we have a special, extension of the Constitution for us? It's discriminatory about babes who like to do reverse cowgirl shit. Damn. Why can't we have something for them?
Well, all I'm going to say, Judge, is that Donald Trump did a reset on the Obama sexual revolution, and folks are mad.
What sexual revolution? That ain't sex. It ain't
Okay, well,
sex unless it can at least be a dry run on reproductivity. Shit.
okay, well, deviance, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying. I'm trying to say
That's playing around with shit. But I don't know. Well, I guess they let them call it sex. Hell, that's their
okay,
business. They
all
got a
right,
right to do whatever they
all right.
want in their
But
bedroom.
my
But they're
my
bringing
point.
that shit on the outside. Drag queens talking to children, trying to brainwash these children into thinking it's all right. California with proposition, well, not prop, but bill SB 365. So the children at 8 years old can elect to be shot up with drugs so they don't reach puberty. What kind of shit is that? You can't even
But you know,
sign a contract, but they can get their balls cut off before they even know what they're for.
well, did you hear what this deviant mayor in DC has done? Is that you can get vaccinated without your parental knowledge or consent here. There
I
are
ain't gonna, well, hell. I come from an era where if you didn't have a vaccination sheet, they'd have three big teachers to hold the kids down who wanted to shriek and screech while the nurse shot them up and then gone, boy, act like a man. Go get you
well,
some toilet paper and wipe your nose. Gone about it. Everybody got shot up. See, we don't have the draft anymore. Got the draft. Mother Green would shoot you up with all kinds of shit you never heard of. Didn't ask you.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, Judge, with all due respect, where I'll differ with you, is that back then, I don't think the pharmaceutical corporations or anybody
It's not
had
the pharmaceutical folk, it's the medical in the insurance industry. See, the pharmaceutical folk are taking losses because of the insurance industry. It's not the general insurance industry. It's just the medical shit like Blue Cross, Blue Shield, and everything. That's that affordable care bullshit that Dr. Bill Cross of Nashville, senior Republican senator from the state of Tennessee, while Senate Republican majority leader drafted what is the Health Care Act, now known as Obamacare. Obama didn't have shit to do with it. It was Republican Senate Majority Leader Bill Frist. His family started Blue Cross Blue Shield. They're making a fortune off of that shit.
What do you think of Frist?
Chump.
Yeah,
you know what he told me one time? I'll tell you where it was. It was at the Crescent Club here in Memphis. And he was telling me that the first time he registered to vote in his life is when he decided to run for U.S. Senate. He registered to vote, and during the Republican primary, he voted for one candidate, himself. And for the general election, he voted for one candidate, himself. And the last time I ran into him, he said he'd never voted for any candidate but himself his entire career, and his asshole is Republican Senate Majority Leader representing all the people of the United States when he's in that position. And the state of Tennessee, of which I am a resident. Yeah, great. His family started Blue Cross Blue Shield, and it is a massive ripoff. Affordable care is some bullshit because it drives prices up. It doesn't benefit us. It lets the insurance companies get 100% reimbursed for what they put up. Get your insurance premium, get your copay, or your deductible, whichever one agreement they have with you, and it screws you all to hell. Now, then they control the generic industry, and see, the generic industry doesn't have to run field trials. They don't have to get the malpractice insurance. They don't have to get the research done and pay for it. They get to copy it so long as they've basically got 3/4 of what's in the general drug. If they get it in their generic, then they can do that. No field research, no nothing. And they just ride off everybody's coattail, and what they wind up doing, see, is these same generic manufacturers of generic pharmaceuticals. They are run by the consortium of insurance companies, so they get paid for the pharmaceutical, they get paid for what they pay out, they get paid what you pay them, and they get your copay. They're ripping off. They can pay this directly for benefit of the American public. But we so caught on stupid. Oh, Obamacare. Well, fool, read this shit. It's ridiculous.
Now, Judge.
Let me give an example. I'm a type 2 diabetic. My doctor, I've known since he's been 4 years old. You know, he's cool. I knew his daddy pretty well. He gives me the good shit. Well, I've got some stuff that if I get 30 days worth, the copay is $483. $483 for 30 days. If I get a 90-day supply, my copay for the whole 90 days isn't but $19.
Wow.
It doesn't make any damn sense until you read it, and then you find out that if there is a 90-day prescription or longer, the insurance company gets 100% of what they pay out reimbursed to them by the federal government. They get my copay of $19, ain't shit, and they get my insurance premium. And then they try to tell me I can't have this because, they try to get you off of it and get you to get Medicare Part A and B. You got to have Part A if you get Social Security. So a hospital doesn't need it up on hospital fees. But on the rest of that shit, what they want to do is if I give up my first class group insurance, because I'm a member of SAG-AFTRA, and pay full dues and get what they want, what I have to pay for the 20% non-coverage on the Medicare cost more in terms of premiums than getting the full benefits on a premier insurance plan under group insurance. It's a rip. And see, Blue Cross, that the Frisk family controls, they have medical, they've got Blue Cross, Blue Shield, damn near every one of the HMOs and medical insurance companies they have under their umbrella. They're making a fortune off of this shit. And we're stupid enough, Obama came up with it. Damn. That fool didn't come up with any legislation except 2 pieces.
Dr. Short, y'all got that?
No, I was talking to my group. Judge, are you aware that Frisk was going over to Africa and the Congo, down in the Kasai province, and he would hang out with this doctor or missionary and his wife who raped Black women and girls for 30 years?
And they're stupid enough for not cutting his head off and putting it on somebody's pole outside
Well,
the fence.
well, you know how they.
I mean, damn, if they put up with it, that's their goddamn problem. I always say, if you put up with some shit, that's your problem, not mine.
But let me tell you something. Frisk couldn't run for president because that would have come up. That he kept going down there. I mean, they would have.
It doesn't come up that this bastard that looks like he's president-elect maybe got. I heard him with my own 2 ears, saw him with my own 2 eyes. 1972. It's in front of the state capitol in Dover, Delaware. A little ramshackle, run-down 2-story building is about to collapse. It actually was somebody's home at one time. And that bastard was out there talking about Negro children are like roaches. If you let them integrate schools, they will infest them. Negroes are like animals, and they turn the streets into jungles. And Strom Thurmond, Senator Thurmond and I, we have a plan to use their criminality to lock all of them up and put them in zoos so we can watch them instead of having to deal with them out in the streets. And it got worse from there. And that's that ass that they put in that told them slave Negroes when he had that call that somebody recorded that, who the hell do you think you are? You ain't getting crap. Got the nerve to talk to me. You better go get in with these Mexicans because they're about to take over. We ain't doing shit for you.
But what about he did this? He got the tampon cabinet, all the women, all the estrogen in the cabinet. That's like a West people disaster to me. Tampon cabinet.
The lesbians.
Oh, yeah.
Hell,
whatever it is.
I don't mind women, but goddamn, how about some straight folk? We're the majority. We're 95% of the public. What happened to us?
And he's got all the pork chop feminists like Simone Sanders looking like Magic Johnson's son. Yeah, lesbian. She looks like
A.L.L, Black Lesbian Mania.
It's black lesbian motherfuckers. I mean, why can't we do that?
Damn, that's like look. To give you a perspective, that's like if you got a president made every cabinet nomination a real down-to-earth black man or black woman. We've been here a long time, and he told us, "Fuck you, go get the Mexicans to help you out."
Yeah, and you know what, Judge?
Gorilla pimp.
Speaking of that, what about these
told
judges?
His bottom bitches where they can go. Bitch, don't be getting out of line. You're my bottom hoe. You know, hell, I ain't got to give you no special. You always been my bottom bitch. What's wrong with you?
God.
Let me ask you, these judges all over the country keep throwing out these cases for the people fighting for Trump. Is that some kind of...
Let me give you this. From a legal perspective, what the general issue is there are procedural defects. The wrong approach was taken, and I can see that in a lot of what I've read. And the other thing is the case isn't ripe yet because you haven't been done harm yet. So it
January
might
the
be
6th, right?
if
January
that developed.
6th.
But see, we've got all these people now. Okay, that they are out in the public eye prominent as lawyers, but they don't have any trial experience. I've talked to some of these people. How many cases have you tried? You've tried 3 jury cases in your whole career. Hell, I've done that many in a goddamn week. So you've only had 3 jury trials in your whole career? Okay. Now, this one I brought up for somebody. This is an interesting case. It's the original Fayette County Welfare League versus Ellington. Ellington was the governor of Tennessee. 309 Federal Supplement at page 89. You got a number of black lawyers who came from Memphis, volunteered to put their time in and kick ass on this case, and it sets up a good definition of free speech and constraining demonstrations and stuff. It makes good reading because they cite it all over the country. All right. You got another case where this one came up because this brother back in 1940 was at home. He was dealing with this sister. This white boy was dealing with this sister. The white boy got a lynch mob to come over to his house and burn the place down. The guy didn't surrender, and some white boy in the lynch mob got shot to death. So 19 years later, they're going to haul him into Fayette County to try him for murder. Well, this brother here named John Estes, who didn't charge him a dime for this, came up from Memphis, did it free of charge. And what the point was is he wanted some blacks on the jury. But because Fayette County, which is right next over from Shelby County, where Memphis is located, excluded all of these blacks because nobody was registered to vote. He got together a project to try and register black voters so he could get some black jurors to try this guy's case. So that wound up with something called the Fayette County Welfare League. And then, of course, black folk got to fighting over who was going to be in charge. So one of them became Fayette County Welfare League, and the other one became the original Fayette County Welfare League. But black lawyers, a bunch of them, 6, 7 of them, volunteered to go in and get this together. It went up to the district court in Tennessee, went up to the 6th Circuit. I mean, they did a lot of work on that. But you see, you got these charlatan Negroes now that have not tried a damn case, and they're in it for money, not principle. God knows how wealthy I would have been if I had just charged for every damn case. And a lot of them, I couldn't even stand my client, but it was a righteous cause.
Well, my question is, why do we allow everybody to vote? You know, we shouldn't have these angry women that have contempt for masculine males out here, the ability to vote. We shouldn't have these, and excuse me, I'm not saying all old people. We shouldn't have these old, ignorant, church-going, white people can do no wrong type people voting. So in other words, what I'm saying is, just like you have to have a driver's test to get your driver's license, there should be some type of test you should take to vote, because everybody should not be able to vote. That's I mean, I'm being
well,
serious.
when they started this place, that was the general idea. had to be white and male, and not every white male could vote unless he had enough property or money or education to demonstrate sufficient interest in the place to take the time to figure out things instead of just going out and voting for chick flick matinee stars.
Judge, can I ask you, I saw this bombing in Nashville. You know, I've been in Nashville like about 5 times this year, and I'm going to be in Nashville in a couple of weeks. Do you have any idea what this is? It who? What?
I haven't the slightest idea. The reports I get from the NCIC connection that I have is just simply there was a shots fired call. 2 police responded. When they got there, they were directed to an RV. They got intrigued, and then a recording started playing from the RV. It said, "There is a bomb inside. Please clear the area," which they did. They called the bomb squad. Before the bomb squad got there, the detonation occurred. They found some spent ammunition cases, but they don't know whether that came from the explosion or there had actually been shots fired. They were able to get a tentative connection between that vehicle and a Google map picture from last year, more than a year ago, showing a similar vehicle parked in the suspect's yard. Now, be careful. You got eye in the sky watching your ass. So what you do in your backyard may be up on a Google map. So Big Brother is watching. So I don't know, and they've not released any further details. So
it's not clear.
It'll all be revealed, if ever, in due time.
Well, I want to shout out to the 172 people on my stream, and one of them wanted to know your take on Tyrone Hayes' exposing atrazine. You know, the thing that made all the frogs gay. I don't know if they stopped eating flies or something because it's in the water, but are you aware of that?
No.
So you don't know about the atrazine?
I don't know about the atrazine.
Okay.
Are you talking about the black scientist?
Yeah, the black scientist. What about the one in the Chattahoochee River with the flu shots?
I mean, this Cunningham. Yeah, CDC.
I don't know about that person.
Well, I will tell you about this, but Dr.
You
Timothy
did that
Cunningham.
like Donald Trump. You don't know.
Well, you know, like Dr. Timothy Cunningham. That was 2 years ago. They found him in the Chattahoochee River, but he working at the Centers for Disease Control, epidemiologist. Plus, he got a big promotion the day he disappeared, February 12, 2018. Now, the police, his family said he was denied the promotion, but the CDC said they gave him the promotion. And then the CDC said he did not have a high enough security clearance for us to want to kill him. That's what they said. And he was he allegedly did an interview about warning about systemic genocide, about the use of vaccinations and diseases to get rid of black people. Now, this is Atlanta. Atlanta's a big town.
That's not what they usually kill somebody over.
But now what I'm saying is, like, they character assassinate the man after he died. Like, you know, these interviews and stuff came up.
Your ass is still breathing. Look at Dr. Cosby.
Oh, yeah,
serious business. Speaking of CDC, everything they do is not bad. One of the things, for example, that somebody I know who is a deputy director is very perturbed because they have worked up these public service announcements that HIV is becoming epidemic again, like it was a few decades ago.
People are working hard to get it there.
Their conclusion is that the push to this gayness that they've got popularized in the media is contributing to it, but they can't get any of the media outlets to play the release, that they have put out. Apparently, what is it, Truvada and the others that do all that?
Yeah, you're talking about the gay birth control pills, the prophylaxis pills.
They don't like it, so they don't want to put it out. But HIV is approaching epidemic status again, which is something you haven't heard anything about because the media suppresses it. See, we've allowed the media to get almost dictatorial powers because we say is private, therefore we can't tell them. Well, every damn newspaper in the country is private because we have no official government newspaper of widespread circulation except in military circles. And you are letting private enterprise monopolize all of the forums that people have to now, social media, and they can dictate and censor what goes on there. That case that I just gave you, original Fayette County Welfare League, 309 F Sup at page 86, that dictates what is not acceptable under First Amendment, and Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram regularly censor stuff that is permitted under free speech.
Sure they do. I'm a witness, Judge. I am a witness.
I also want to add, what killed more people? Was it HIV or AIDS or AZT, the drug they gave to treat those so-called illnesses? And also with Nashville, y'all remember the last presidential debate was in Nashville, and Joe Biden warned about the dark winter. What the hell that supposed to mean? The cold, dark winter. It's gonna be a dark winter. Then you had the Waffle House shooting.
Joe Biden is so goddamn stupid. I don't think he could predict when he needed to wipe his ass after he just got his shit going on.
But it's something to think about. You remember that Waffle House shooting a couple years ago in Antioch?
If he figured out he needed to wipe his ass,
I mean, I ain't gonna argue with you on that, But one of Donald Trump's favorite presidents is Andrew Jackson, who took on the central banking entrance back in the day, and he was a populist type of president.
I don't like the bastard because he had a reputation for locking up black men and women and children who were
the Trail of Tears, right?
The runaway slaves and Seminole Indian women, and he was famous for locking them in wooden buildings or stockades and setting fire and burning up 110, 120 at a time. He's a sick, homicidal bastard.
But he did take on the central banking interest. He took on the Rothschild agent.
Good too.
He stopped the central banking from fulfilling
his some good ideas. And you can get rid of the rest of them. He probably would have ruled the world if he hadn't been so stupid as to be obsessed with taking on the Soviets. But I don't know.
Even the Soviets tried to give him an out, though. He should have learned from
Napoleon. I'm gonna give you, Judge. While we talking about Hitler, I was working on. I'm gonna work on a sermon.
Yeah, I know your book. You call them pink Nazis. I call them kumbaya Nazis. I had a Soviet professor that I was teaching assistant for at UCLA back in the 60s. And according to her, the U.S. was in grave danger of becoming fascist, not through the far right, not through economic concerns, but because it is what I call, hell, they were talking about it then, kumbaya attitude, that we have to make it safe and all right for everybody. And this sense of self-righteousness of I'm doing the right thing, that would lead to fascist style oppression. So you got the same elements going on right here. The Nazis were infused with this gay shit. The SA, the stormtroopers, brown shirts. Mm-hmm. It got bad.
Now we know why the shirts were brown.
Yeah, well, yeah, but anyway, Hitler got rid of them in the night of the long lives.
Yeah,
when Rahm and the rest of the gay upper echelons of the stormtroopers were assassinated, executed, or whatever it may be, and they had the name Nazi is an acronym in German for National German Socialist Workers' Party.
Mm-hmm.
Socialist Workers' Party. So that's what the Nazis were about. They were infused with homosexuality. The worst were the SS and the Gestapo. And some of that, in terms of what they're trying to do, is just exactly what you see now. And if you want to get it in kind of a really brief fashion, critical thing here, cryptic thing here, is Animal Farm by Orwell. The animals had a revolution on a farm, took it over, and they had a constitution, and it says all animals are equal. And then the pigs staged a counter-revolution, enlisted some dogs in their cause for muscle, and then it became all animals are equal / pigs are more equal than others. That's what you get. The
That's
hell
what you
with the
get.
First Amendment, the Second Amendment, to arm yourself and resist this shit. That's supposed to be an enactment. And you got the Fourth Amendment that deals with search and seizure. The Fifth Amendment, you saw that abused all the hell with the Dr. Cosby trial. These damn fascists are trying to turn this into a Nazi enclave in the 21st century. Kumbaya Nazis.
You know what? The Animal Farm, that thing reminds me also of feminism, which is why I hate it, because the feminists are just crazy. You dealt with them out in Hollywood. But I was going to just mention that Adolf Hitler, I was going to do a sermon talking about Hitler being more honest than white evangelicals. Because if you ever read Albert Speer's book, Berlin Diaries, Heinrich Himmler, who headed up the SS, the Schutzstaufen for Hitler, right? He was trying to prove that the white Germans had a long historic past that was heroic and they had all kinds of civilization. And Hitler would make fun of Himmler. His number one bodyguard would make fun of him and laugh at him and talk bad about him, saying that this guy keeps trying to find an ancient white civilization when Hitler says everybody knows he's just going to find some old pottery and huts, that the German people had no great history. Hitler, a white supremacist, acknowledged that white folk didn't really have anything going on. And yet in this country, you have all these people arguing for a white Jesus. I mean, even shit's white to these people. I mean, especially if it comes from the royal family. That Hitler now knew that they were lying. Hitler literally said it's a lie and we don't have a deep history. We didn't really do anything way back. We were just a bunch of barbarians. This is the father of white power, said that white people weren't about much. And yet in America, we're constantly beset by people who want to make the Egyptians white. They want to make the Carthaginians white. They want to make everything white. And yet one of the most neurotic, crazed people of all times, Adolf Hitler, was honest about that, and that Jews, original Jews, were black people.
So why do we want to pick identification with one of the group that is next to being next oppressed behind us?
Oh, I don't want to pick nobody.
No, I mean, why are we doing stuff like that? Of all the people you could pick, that's like the Jews, like not the Jews. That's like the Nazis, the Aryan Supermen. So you tell a lie long enough, and you can get anybody to believe it. Do you know what an Aryan actually looks like?
We do. I do.
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris. Her technical definition is an Indo-Aryan. Hitler and the boys told a lie long enough that Aryans were blonde-haired, blue-eyed. No, they were paper bag, brown, dark-eyed with dark hair. And the Germans were in a situation, it hadn't even been 60 years since they became a country. And they were starved for some positive role models. So they picked one. Black folk pick up on Jesus and they want him to be black so bad. It doesn't make any damn difference. I thought it was an idea. And they try to, we the black Jews and, and all this other stuff. I mean, it may be good, but
I'm not obsessed. I'm not obsessed on that, Judge. You're getting me wrong.
I mean, if you want to believe that, that's fine. That's your thing. Go ahead.
That's not what I'm talking about.
When you got a revolution or an evolution, you deal with right here, right now. What's happening the day after tomorrow, 10 years from tomorrow.
With all due respect, Brother Ron knows I always give folk hell about being 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago when you don't know your grandparents or your great grandparents.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
it may be true, may not be true, but it's like in the scheme of things. Go get yourself some bang instead of bling. Go get you some bullets instead of bling. Go get you some backdrop instead of bling. Go get you something to go target practice with instead of putting around your neck some torque. Hell, what's wrong with us?
My brother, that is a good question. When the problem is that what Hitler was preaching about, the master race, the Germans had to be beaten into believing our people believe in the white master race, so we do all this compensatory stuff of looking for significant people that were not white that they can identify with. My statement to everybody on my channels is that Eskimos don't need pyramids to feel good about themselves. Okay. So to me, my superheroes are like my cousin who just turned 81. I'm sorry, 82. When my cousin was shooting up the Klan in Rocky Mount, North Carolina in the early 50s. That's my hero. Are you getting me? I don't need to go back hundreds and thousands of years. However, when people, both Hitler's guy Himmler, felt inferior about being white, needed to go back to find something that he could feel good about. Hitler thought it was stupid. And it's interesting, he's more honest than a lot of us then. Now, we do have people that everything that has happened, they want the Vikings to be black. They want Kublai Khan to be black. They want everybody to be black. I don't care if they are or not. If they are, wonderful. If they aren't, that's fine too. I happen to like me and us, right? Are you hearing me, brother? I know Judge is gone. However,
I'm not gone. I'm still in here. I'm trying to get back on. What happened?
NSA, CIA.
No. The alphabet people got him.
There we.
I don't know other alphabet. The alphabet mafia. The other one.
Well, but they're twisted too. Yeah. I mean, because you look at
you too. I don't give a shit. Block me off, goddamn it. I'll still talk about your goddamn straight.
What kind of people? What kind of people over in Iraq had the men stacked up naked on top of each other and having dogs bark at people's penises and
shit?
America,
that sounds like
America.
Some sick gay shit.
I
remember that. I remember that.
Somebody, all of them is strange non-breeder to come up with that shit.
If you look at that stuff they did in Abu Ghraib, that was so nasty. And I'm trying to think, that's why these alphabet people are twisted too. The Secret Service. I mean, who needs and put a light tube up someone's behind or threaten to do it to people to get them to talk? I mean, it's sick. So, but you know what? There's probably somebody with their thumb up their ass in Silicon Valley just dying off our conversation. And, you know, my mission is to make one of them have a stroke or an aneurysm. So you can count on me to be as honest as I possibly can.
I want to ask y'all this. I'll get y'all. I don't want to, take up all y'all time. Y'all being very generous with y'all time and wisdom and insight. I got to ask y'all about the stimulus situation, like with the checks and Congress versus Trump. And Trump said he got no friends in Congress. Like what Truman said, you want a friend in Washington, get a dog. I mean, Harry Truman said that. It's like Trump has no friends on either side of the aisle. What should he do? What's going on?
He does have a dog. It's named Carson.
You know, what can I say? People get off into some things and they get obsessed with it and shit out.
Yeah.
Congress. You know what really happened with that?
What?
See, Trump was advocating for $1,500. Pelosi was saying he was holding out, and she offered $600. If you notice, $25 billion going to Pakistan, 10 of which to improve and spread LGBTQ issues in Pakistan.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You notice all of the foreign aid pork that's attached to it and a lot of other stuff that's LGBTQ, which they're doing a news blackout on.
They call it gender studies, right, Judge? That's what the gender studies is?
Tied to this shit. And that's what the holdup was. The Senate wasn't going for it, and the House was saying we're not passing anything. So it's been held up since March, and that's why. And then fools, of course, they're so anti-Trump because they've been programmed to respond to the dog whistle. Here, boy, fetch.
Well,
Trump is so evil, and then you get CNN, Crying Negro Network. And that embarrassing Van Jones. Oh, I'm so happy they got rid of that.
You mean Scam
I'm
Jones?
so happy.
Isn't he from Tennessee?
He's from Jackson. His daddy from Orange Mound. It's a disgrace.
Yeah.
His daddy from Orange Mound. He's
I
from
don't give a
Jackson.
shit where he's from. I was born in Washington, D.C., grew up in Los Angeles.
He's Scam
Jones.
Jones.
Punk ass.
And how many
crime Negro punk ass.
He's the first
Network.
black dude that I know that got paid that his white woman left. Now you got money.
Jimmy Carter's niece. Jimmy Carter's niece.
His white woman left him. The white woman left him. Either you can't pay the pipe because normally they'll stay. I mean, what happened there?
Well, Judge, I have a question. I know you're pro 2A like myself. What do you think about the ATF and the pistol braces and Joe Biden?
What they're doing is in Boston, banned in Boston, is they got a directive to back the hell off on civil litigation against the makers of these braces. So some asshole in the Boston office decided he was going to do something novel and started charging individual citizens with criminal acts. There's no intent to this, although thanks to that bastard Biden and that dead bastard Strom Thurmond's ass, they came up with some shit that they added into the federal law where they allow federal criminal law to be used to deliberately persecute someone, even if you know they don't have a chance for conviction. See, this is part of this mindset, like New York. Every winter, it's good season to go hunt deer, caribou, elk, and stuff up in Canada. Mm-hmm. So people will say fly from Memphis to Canada. And if you're going to the eastern part of Canada, sometimes they route you through New York City. All right. You have a flight change. Well, what happened a time or 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 or 25 or 30 is weather patterns dictated that the stopover became a layover, and they required that you remove all of your items from the plane or take them, claim them. And then when you went to recheck your firearm, you got charged with a felony in New York, even though had that not happened, it would have been totally legal. See, that is the abuse of process to deal with the political points. All of these people got charged with felonies in New York because they legally checked their guns in Memphis, Miami, or wherever. There's a flight change in New York that had it gone off, nothing would have happened. But because the weather stopped everything and they had to retrieve it, now they're committing a crime in New York. And see, that stuff needed to be challenged. It was, but I mean, that's the same kind of thing that's going on with these gun braces. I think they were after SB. And if you read the protocols on when they decide to test, they've got this guy that wears a size 32 shirt. And he is supposedly the expert. So he takes them out and test fires, and his subjective report says, the brace was too long for me to use it for any purpose to brace the weapon and to be able to effectively aim. Well, I have a size 36 sleeve, and excuse the hell out of me, but the particular SB brace he was talking about, I'm familiar with, works fine with me. He's just got little bitty short ass arms. So because of that, they've got all these people that are getting federally prosecuted out of Boston.
Hey, Judge, do you think we're going to have a civil war? Because in this country, you think folks are going to start shooting in the next few weeks or months?
I don't think we're going to have a civil war. Civil war is when states secede. I don't think we're going to have another one of those. That was a monster starting in 1861. I do think we're going to have some civil unrest. I think some little ratchet cupcakes, vanilla cupcakes, are going to have a big comeuppance when they find that the world is not kumbaya, everybody fuzzy, friendly bullshit, and they start running into some other people that don't think like them and aren't spoiled brats. And this time, interesting, black folk and the other folk are on the same side.
You think there's going to be any shooting, killing, or jailing? You know, I communicate with Roger Stone, and a lot of people feel like there's going to be folks sent to jail. Actually, important people
I'm
may
sure
go.
there will be. There'll be copycats and everything else, but the kumbaya Nazis aren't the ones that have been accumulating the guns, even if they do have Antifa, which I have a sneaking suspicion is running interference for the Anti-Defamation League, and they're practicing taking out some of the Aryan Nation, Aryan Brotherhood, Nazi type, traditional Nazi type, and they've been using BLM as a smokescreen. I think there might be some hell from there. They seem to be possessed of good communications and some logistics where they, strangely enough, have uprisings, if you can call it that, demonstrations, but they're stockpiled rocks and cinder blocks and concrete blocks that are conveniently fractured and broken so they can throw them through windows. But it's the same 150, 200 a night that gets out on bond, gets out on bond, gets out on bond. And you got 750,000 people in the municipality, and it's just 150 folk. You know,
Now,
they're upset
Judge,
with that young teenager who shot some fools down who were trying to get him doing a riot. I think he's probably going to walk because it's a riot. When you got a riot going, all bets are off.
Well, what about this thing in Chicago when they dragged the black grandmother and took her to jail naked? Anjanette Young, did you hear about that? I mean,
I don't know about that.
Oh my God, the Chicago.
See, look, let me just say this. I've heard about it, but considering what I did for a living and how small a sample of that you're getting right now, it doesn't concern me because statistically it's unimportant. We've got to stop getting worked up because some 22-year-old in a newsroom decided to pull something off the net and hype it because the news was otherwise slow and people were sick of hearing Biden and Trump. So when you get that kind of thing, the best mindset is let's see what happens. We have this inquiring mind bullshit attitude now. Inquiring minds need to know right now. And when you need to know right now, you don't really find out anything. Everybody's running around, oh, I'm worked up and I'm emotive. We need to be rational, cold-blooded, and logical. And shit happens. Well, and I don't know enough about the scene. I know this. I had cases that were tried in front of me as a judge where everybody was hollering for the blood of the defendant and take him away now and hang him high. He did it. He doesn't blah, 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 blah. And then in the middle of deliberations, the jury tells you they've got a question. You get the question and it reads like, Your Honor, if we find the defendant deserved, Your Honor, if we find that the victim deserved killing, do we have to convict the defendant? You know, there are all kinds of things that happen that have not a damn thing to do with what's in the news. Because now, particularly, it's not news where it's a public service announcement for a network. It is entertainment generating ratings and commercial revenue. At best is historical fiction.
Now, the reason I'm asking, building up this broad, the one that looks like a cross between the Beetlejuice and the Hobbit from Lord of the Rings, you know, Mayor Larry Dykefoot in Chicago. Have you been following her? Because from what I understand, people are hot up in Chicago, and it looks like there's going to be some serious stuff like we haven't seen since the Black community went crazy on Jane Byrne up in Chicago. The folk are hot off of Larry Dykefoot. I don't know if you've been following her. We got these crazy mayors. I mean, we used to have black mayors that did stuff for us. Now we got mayors that do stuff to us.
They do it for their constituents. See, they didn't do it when they got elected as black people. They do it when they get elected as gay people.
Well, she's definitely gay. I mean, she's so unattractive.
Mayor Dykefoot?
I'll give her a get out of straightness free card.
Brother
like
Johnson his brother Johnson calls her Mayor Dykefoot. Oops,
yeah, well, Dykefoot is my word.
Kim Fox, the DA, who promised some changes and hadn't delivered shit. You know, I don't understand it. Why is Chicago's black community complaining when a Negro mayoress, and they got a Negro prosecutress?
Well, Dykefoot.
Prosecutrix.
Dykefoot is the name I gave It's Caught On. So I'm very proud of it. I helped name
claim it, Dykefoot.
Dykefoot. It's on my memes. I should send you some. But Dykefoot, wow. It's absolutely incredible. But, you know, Dykefoot, they're talking about organizing a takeover of the city sometime next month, and they're going to try to push out Dykefoot. I don't know if that can succeed, but what are your thoughts? If they have a bunch of sisters that are outraged over stuff that's been going on, if they stepped up and went after Dykefoot.
Let them be outraged. I'm so sick and tired of people being outraged and ain't doing shit. Let them be goddamn outraged. Go find a dildo to play with or get a strap on and do each other.
Well, I think Lori's got them all.
Y'all familiar with this right here? Have y'all seen this?
What is it? I can't see it.
Israel,
Congress
Palestine.
Votes $4 billion to Israel for 2021. Press doesn't tell Americans. Yeah, that's a lot of shit. A bunch of it like that.
So this King Bernard and Brother Coolicc got this from Bernard BJ.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not gonna even touch this right here because we ain't serious about revolution. So, but let's wrap it up. This is our problem. H. Rod Brown should have been out. Mumi Abu-Jamal should have been out. Black folks ain't serious about no revolution.
Should be out.
No, but Meek Mill. What I'm saying, this is what I'm saying. Meek Mill got all this attention in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is so damn corrupt. But they had that prison pipeline with the juvenile court going on. You got Bill Cosby locked down. You got Mumi Abu-Jamal locked down. They did the move bombing in 1985 under a black mayor, John Wilson No Good. But what I'm saying is black folks don't got the testicular fortitude or the courage or the focus or the damn agenda to get nothing done. This is bullshit. We talking a bunch of intellectual masturbation on this show. We ain't serious about nothing. We some clown ass motherfuckers. With all due respect.
By y'all Nazis getting out of jail every night and going back to having more little spring break or winter break down. There ain't nobody persecuted their ass.
But look at Kyle Rittenhouse. Whatever you think about him,
out some nightsticks and beat some head.
Yeah, but Kyle Rittenhouse though, Judge. Whatever you think about him, white folks are organized for theirs. George Zimmerman was still walking around. Carolyn Bryant still breathing free air. What she did to Emmett Till. We are a bunch of jokes. We just a bunch of hashtag black snuff porn addicts. I'm tired of this bullshit. Sandra Bland been dead for 5 years. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's just Alberto Dale Jones, that black prosecutor up in Louisville, been dead for 55 years trying to help black people. We don't give a damn about the black folks that care about us. H. Rod Brown has no business still being locked up 20-something years later going on. That's an insult.
Wait, 20, 50.
Mamiya and a range of other people. I told y'all, this is the thing I did on my show. I'm going to say it again.
Mm-hmm.
The Trump administration sent out feelers to let black political prisoners go. And I know, and I reached out, and these people basically told me, we don't want these people released by Trump. And I says, my God, I get you hating the man, but what about the brothers and sisters in lockup? And I know because the people from Jericho stopped talking to me, they blocked it. Basically, I'm registered as a Republican, therefore I'm an enemy to black people. Not that I said, take the bounty off of Asada, let Matula Shakur and all of them go. Do I sound like I'm a Tom or a Coon, Ron?
No, don't.
Okay.
You sound very reasonable to me.
But if you look up David Steele, you'll see he's talking about freeing black political prisoners to right-wing folks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are open. Guess where he got this whole press to free our black political prisoners? You're looking at him. Mm. Now, it's interesting. We've got 60 blacks in Congress. You mean these people that are there can't negotiate any kind of deal? I brought up the issue that the Puerto Rican Revolutionary Army bombed and killed police in New York. And in order for the Clintons to get Puerto Rican votes, they let people who killed law enforcement in New York go. You can't tell me that Mumia can't be freed. And so part of the problem is the people on the left and the deviants and the LGBTQ and other folks that are in these free movements, these white lawyers and other people get rich, get to be celebrities on NPR, and these black men and women rot and die in jail. And these folks who are black or activists, they just trust these white lawyers who are letting these people die. More could be done. And I'm gonna say this, I can't prove it, but I'll tell you about the man that was in Jamil Al-Amin's mosque, aka H. Brown. And the man had a little button on of the people in Libya that were mass murdering black people. And the man looked me in my eye. The man looked me in my eye. You know what? Go to hell, whoever this person is. I don't care if Trump is a racist. If Trump would let these black people out of jail, if Trump would do that, I absolutely would take help from a racist or anybody. Get my damn heroes out of jail.
That's right.
You always negotiate. So there are a lot of dumb fuck people in our community. Dumb fuck assholes where white people have to be saints, or you can't get what you have to get in a circumstance where the same nigga talking shit to me has built or created nothing. He probably doesn't even manufacture the toilet paper he wipes his ass with. At least, whether I went to Trump or whoever, to get black folks out of jail, when y'all support the NAACP and all these other folks that don't deal with this, who cares who I talk to? If you're drowning in a swimming pool and a Klansman throws you a lifesaver, do you say I'd rather drown than float? That's a lot of black. That's irrational. That's some dude with more estrogen than a battleship full of whores.
Or Joe Biden's cabinet.
Yeah, no. He's Joe Biden's stool groomer. He probably wants to wipe Joe Biden's ass. Look, Judge, are you hearing what I'm saying?
They got a new position called wiper of the ass in cabinet.
It's called stool groomer.
The president-elect, if he's that, doesn't know when to wipe his ass, even when he's got diarrhea.
Right. We got a lot of black people that are stool groomers, and you know what I'm talking about, Judge. When I make a point that you had to negotiate very difficult cases on the bench, I know that that's the case. You had to do stuff that you had to do, right? And sometimes it wouldn't have pleased people, but that was the strategy. If Donald Trump had released the black political prisoners at all, it would have meant something, if nothing else, than to the families of those people who haven't seen people who sacrificed for us. To me, that's the least I could do, is raise my voice for black men and women that are my equivalent of founding fathers and mothers. H. Brown should be free. But like I said, that imam at his mosque supported the white Libyans that were killing the black ones. And he told me the only time he liked the red, black, and green flag was when they were using that stuff to take down Gaddafi. And I says, oh my God, this is the type of Muslim that's at the mosque of Jamil Al-Amin, is one that thinks people who are exterminating black people are, that's craziness.
Yeah, we ain't gonna solve it tonight, but I want to thank you, gentlemen, for being on the show, for taking up your time and wisdom and insight and talents to try to give us more focus on what we need to be doing to close out the year and head into the new one, I guess. But you gentlemen, y'all can have your last thoughts and words on the platform tonight, and share your contact information and all that stuff.
Okay,
who want to go first?
Me.
Okay.
Hey, y'all. I'm up here supporting Brother Ron Hurd. We've been dealing with each other for 8 years. I've got all kinds of media, but I'd like for y'all to check me out on YouTube on the Randy Short channel. I need your support. And I'm not competing with Brother Ron. Brother Ron knows he can use any of my content. I don't care. He's been one of the few people to back me. I'm on Twitter at DRS11965, Instagram Randy Short 1965, TikTok Randy Lancaster Short. I'm in Facebook, either under Randy Short, Randy Lancaster Short. Please, I'm trying to build up my channel, and it's just like I had a virus attack this morning. I need some resources. I'm not greedy, but send me some pennies. My PayPal is wrandyshort@gmail.com. It's the same. My Zelle is wrandyshort@gmail.com, and my Cash App. And I thank everybody that's been blessing me. This is why I'm on multiple channels right now. Is Dr. Randy Short, uppercase D, lowercase r, uppercase R, lowercase ANDY, uppercase S, lowercase HORT. Resources, the media, all we independent media, Brother Coolicc, Brother Ron, you brothers and sisters that bring us resources or guests. If you know anybody smart or anybody with anything poignant to say, they're welcome. Let's see if we can schedule an interview. I don't discriminate, but absolutely don't discriminate against independent Black voices. Send us some coins and book Judge Joe Brown. He's a little pricey, but he's worth it.
Hey, Judge, speaking of Judge, are you a Mason? Somebody want to know. And you said you were a Mason.
I'm a Shriner.
You're a Shriner. That's a Mason, right? I know you talked about that before.
Yes, it is.
These people are obsessed with this type of stuff.
16th degree Royal Arch Mason to be a Shriner.
So yeah, your answer. Thank you, Brother Malcolm and Brother Coolicc.
Again, most respect to We All Be TV, Dr. Short, Judge Joe Brown. Like I said, I gotta get you on my podcast and all that. Y'all can find me on my YouTube channel, Pioneer Coolicc. My Cash App is Run That Ball, and my Instagram and Twitters is Coolicc. We got to get rid of these feminazis, and we got to get rid of these Nazi Zionists out here. Yes, sir. Yes, they got to go because they're messing up our progress. We got to get them out the way. And much respect, y'all.
Thank you, brothers.
Yes, Judge. Go ahead.
Having me on and being with me while I'm on here, me getting the privilege of being with all of you, Brother Herd, keep it up. You can find me on Twitter at Judge Joe Brown TV. I do not have a blue check. You can also listen to me on most Fridays with Valerie Denise Jones. I have my own radio show. You can check out my Twitter site for that. And quite often, you can find me on with one or two or three or four of the other sisters around. And I try to help everybody out. Brother Herd, I'm on there with you a lot. Dana Cumberlander, there's a Wallace Red here in Memphis. Occasionally, I'm on that too. So check it out. I come through with the voice every now and then, and I don't like bullshit, never have, never will, and I always speak out about it. And, you know, like, you don't like it, fuck you, bring it on.
Or as I say, vacuum.
I like basic, fuck you. You don't like this shit, go do something about it, motherfucker. Yes. You know, hey. Right.
And you know what? I want everybody to remember MFM. We want that motherfucking money. Reparations. MFM, y'all. MFM.
Master Biden and Joe, you niggas, you gotta wait on them messages because you ain't gonna get shit no way.
And you know what Donald Trump will say? I told you niggas to trust me. I did everything for you. I'm the greatest president since Abraham Lincoln. I kept saving you guys. I tried to save you from the fags and Black Lives Matter, but you went out and voted for that deviant. And if he fucks you in the ass, I'm going to be playing golf with my lady in Mar-a-Lago. So deuces, coons, I'm out of here. You're going to have to drag me out of the White House. But you know what? I'm going to take some of the silverware and melt it down because I need the money.
I think, and Donald Trump is black man's political Viagra, as far as I'm concerned. It feels good to see a man be a man. It really does, and not apologize for it. It feels good.
I love it so much.
I voted for him twice.
Goddamn.
And you know what Obama said? You know what?
You've been drinking that weak ass CNN tea. They grind up Van Jones's booty, make the tea. They squeeze that little faggot ass Don Lemon's butt and his white husband. They squeeze his ass in there for the flavoring. And then they get Anderson Cooper's sweet ass and squeeze the sugar out of him to get over sweetened weak ass lemon flavored tea.
You know what? Can you see Don Lemon? I mean, can you see Obama? You know what, Judge Joe Brown? I'm so glad that all the gay people took your ass off television, because, you know, we can't have a gay revolution in this country with people like Judge Joe Brown confusing our youth, telling men to be men. We need to go back. We need to be confused. Now,
I don't care if he's president. I tell him to go fuck himself. You know, hey,
you know what, Judge? Judge, if you can get me the tool, I'm willing to try it. But you need to listen to me. I'm talking here.
That's right.
I want to thank y'all so much. Shout out to Sister Valerie Denise Jones, Old Jersey Red, The Real Dana, and so many other people out there, Dr. Carmen Johnson. This is what it's going to have to take for us to have honest dialogue and respect each other enough to tell the truth to each other and be about the business. And somebody said we need to get a list together of black political prisoners that need to be released and get it to Trump or whoever's going to be president. We got to hold these folks accountable. We got to start taking ourselves seriously.
Shit. We can demand it.
That motherfucker Biden been putting more black folk in jail than any one motherfucking goddamn freak in a long time.
Joe Biden
voted for his ass and talking about black freedom. God damn.
Joe Biden is our Hitler.
Your children roaches.
Joe Biden put more black people in jail than Hitler put Jews. Joe Biden is our Hitler. Joe Biden is our damn Hitler, and we're backing him. I don't care. And I just want, if y'all down in Georgia, don't vote for that Mr. Potato Head punk ass nigga named War Nuts or Jack Off. Both of them, neither one of them is shit. They never
remember they got all off on Cosby because some lesbian woman accused him when she was partially bi.
He
called him 7 times on Valentine's Day, and that pretty woman said she caught her husband with another man, and he ran over her foot, and she was crying. Mm-hmm.
And y'all, we want that stimulus check. We want one every month. Shit. I mean, take some of that money back from this LGBTQ spreading.
Obamacare. It off
to get their dicks and their titties cut off. This is ridiculous. That's right. More money, more MFM to the people, more power to the people. Real talk.
I want to thank y'all once again. Yeah, right on, brothers. To the real power to the people. And that does it for this edition of We All Be. We love you all madly. And
stay white.
Stay white. Man, I thank y'all, man. This is awesome, and the people really enjoy it. But this is what's going to take for us to reclaim our manhood, reclaim the narrative, and don't be afraid to die one time. Because what they say,
we already dead.
Well,
a brave man has but one death.
That's right.
A coward dies many times.
That's right.
Punk ass motherfucker. Shit. Yeah, I'm a retired judge. Half the time I was sitting up there looking at some of you, I was gonna give you justice, but don't think I didn't say you punk ass motherfucker. You need your ass kicked for trying to rip your people off like this.
Judge, can you honor me by saying my motto? MFM, motherfucking money. We need motherfucking money in our community. Those of us that are going to fight for it. MFM.
All right, here you go. MFM, motherfucking money. We need some motherfucking goddamn money in our goddamn community. We need some change, brother, some cheddar to spread far and wide. And we got to educate some of these fools so they don't give it aside. We got to get it in, keep it in, make it build, make it go, make it show, make it about something that's on the go.
RESPECT, We need some MFM. Don't you see? RESPCT, freedom, and have a gap with me, a little respect. Right. We want our
I'll buy it.
All right. Thank y'all so much.
Meanwhile, let me get my ass out of here. I got some things I got to do.
That's right. You gotta get that WAP. You gotta get that WAP, Judge. Get that WAP time. And thank y'all so much. Read a disclaimer. The views expressed by hosts and guests on the We All Be TV platform are not the official views, opinions, beliefs, or perspectives of We All Be News or the We All Be Group Incorporated. We All Be News is an organization that thoroughly believes in supplementing the information narrative that is usually supplied by the corporate news entities with those viewpoints, expressions, which may be marginalized or ignored for a plethora of reasons. We are about informing the general public on alternative perspectives as it relates to news and information, and letting the general public be the ultimate judge in deciding on how to use that information. Informed citizens are responsible citizens. Thank you all for your support. So thank you all, gentlemen. Have a great, blessed, silent night, hopefully. A good night, and the best is yet to come.
That's when the cops shoot you. No.
No. No Facebook live streams for me on that. Thank y'all so much. God bless you all, gentlemen. We love you.
Bye-bye. See you.
All right. I'm out of here.
Peace. One love. Peace, y'all.